It is 6 p.m. here, Western Washington. My name is Mohammed Igal. I'm the mayor of City of Sea-Tac. I'd like to call to order for our regular council meeting. City Clerk, would you take the roll call, please?
Mayor Mohammed Igal.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Sanait Naguse.
Present.
Council members Caitlin Konya.
Here.
Peter Kwan.
Here.
James Lovell.
Here.
And Joe Vincent.
Present.
And Councilmember Badria Abdullahi is excused absent.
Beautiful. Thank you very much, Christina. Let's salute our flag.
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. The next item in the agenda will be public comments. We have one in-person public comments, and we don't have any remote or emailed public comments, and that will be Mr. Matthew.
Quick point of order. Okay. I believe our video recording is not getting audio at the moment, so if we could ask your indulgence just for a moment while David reboots.
All right. So
appreciate your indulgence. Thank you.
It seems to me that we have some technical problem, so we will wait next 2-3 minutes. Thank you.
Mayor, at this time, we do have working microphones. At this point, we will continue to finesse the AV in the back, and if we can make a video recording, we will. Otherwise, we will proceed with an audio recording only. It will still be compliant with the Open Public Meetings Act. And for efficiency and making sure that we're respectful of our community's time and yours, we recommend that you move forward.
Thank you very much, City Manager Young. So the next item in the agenda will be the public comments, and we have only one public comments. That will be Matthew D. Godi. Next 3 minutes, all yours. Welcome. Nice to see you again.
Thank you. Nice to see you, Mayor. I don't know if this thing's on, but I can
just
she'll manage it.
Okay. All right.
Good. Got it. 3 minutes.
Okay, there we go. Anyway, good evening. Like you guys know, I'm part of South End Indivisible and a resident of SeaTac for quite a while. We are a peaceful and nonviolent movement of protests that are working on progressive values and an equitable society. I just really want to say I appreciate the council's action on particularly Ordinance 26-1004. I actually researched and wrote it down. And the broader direction of city employees looking into securing our spaces for our citizens and also keeping them open. I think there was some really good discussion about that. Open, available to citizens, and also safe. The threats we're facing are very real. ICE is expanding locally. We've seen a lot of multiple truckloads of vehicles being unloaded down at the USCIS building in Tequila, and they just rented 85,000 more square feet also in Tequila. King County, ICE arrests in King County have increased over the last year to about 5 times as many in the last quarter of 2025 as in the first quarter. This is based on data from the University of Washington, which I'll send you some of that information. And the tactics seem to have changed since Minneapolis, but they aren't changing their goals of basically deporting every brown body they can get their hands on. And we've become aware recently that ICE is using so-called hold rooms, which are essentially working as unpermitted detention centers by keeping people in cells where they're not supposed to be overnight for weeks at a time. That's happening down in Tequila already. I can send you information on that too. Anyway, so there's serious issues going on. I don't expect you guys to fix all of that, but I just want you guys to be aware that that is happening. I also want to invite you to our No Kings rally. The third No Kings rally is happening on March 28th, this Saturday down at South Center Boulevard and Minkler, or whatever those streets are called. And millions of people are going to be in the streets nationwide protesting, and so I want to invite you all to that. This is utterly unrelated to immigration and indivisible, but you were talking about park safety, and as someone who practically lives in North SeaTac Park, I got to say the biggest issue I run into there is the motorcycles that are constantly riding around on the sidewalks and the walking and biking paths. There's bikes, there's e-bikes, there's electric motorcycles, and then there's full-on, you've got a whatever cc gas engine going on. All of those things are riding around on there, and I'm not sure what the rules are actually, but some of them definitely shouldn't be there. That's a separate thing, though. Anyway, hope to see you guys at No Kings. I will be at that particular protest, and thank you very much for what you have done over the last couple weeks that I've been pestering, hassling, and hounding you.
Thank you very much. If you can turn off. Okay, beautiful. All right, so the next item in the agenda will be proclamation. That is Sexual Assault Awareness Month. Proclamation. It will be 5 minutes, read by Council Member Caitlin Konya.
Thank you, Mayor. Whereas April is Sexual Assault Awareness Month, a time to draw attention to the prevalence of sexual assault and educate individuals and communities about how to prevent it. And whereas sexual assault is pervasive, every 68 seconds someone is sexually assaulted in the United States. And whereas Black, Indigenous, and other people of color, people living in poverty, LGBTQ+ people, elders, people with disabilities, and others who have been historically oppressed are disproportionately affected by sexual violence in significant and complex ways. And whereas sexual assault is among the most underreported crimes for many reasons, but survivors who are already most marginalized face additional barriers to reporting, such as language, immigration status, or disability. And whereas ending sexual violence requires us to address racism, sexism, and all forms of oppression that contribute to the perpetration of sexual assault. And whereas sexual violence exists on a continuum of behavior that includes racist, sexist, transphobic, homophobic, ableist, and other hate speech. This ranges from rape jokes to verbal harassment to physical assaults. And whereas by working together as a community, we can alleviate the trauma of sexual violence by ensuring supportive resources are available to all survivors, while standing up to and actively disrupting harmful attitudes and behaviors that contribute to sexual violence. Now, therefore, I, Caitlin Konya, on behalf of the Mayor of City of SeaTac, and the City Council join advocates and communities throughout King County in taking action to prevent sexual violence by standing with survivors and proclaiming April 2026 Sexual Assault Awareness Month. Together, we commit to a safer future for all children, young people, adults, and families in our community. Given under my hand in this seal of the City of SeaTac this 24th day of March 2026.
Thank you, Councilmember Konya. And we'll be mailing to, okay, good. All right, the next item will be the council confirmation of mayoral appointment of Anihi Toledo Salgado to the Arts, Culture, and Library Advisory Board, Sarah Bostel, Luis Escamilla, and Tin Nai Ho Win to the Community Service Advisory Committee, and Brack Belay, Jeffrey Gatt, and Safi Fan to the Planning Commission, and Gina Smith to the Senior Advisory Committee. So I know that we do have a second to accept it, motion to accept it, those commission members, and do I have second?
I move that we accept all commission members.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion made by Mr. Rafael and second by Mr. Fitson. So do I have council have any comments or question? I will start the council member Konya.
Thank you for everyone who stepped up to join a committee. I look forward to seeing the work that you do. That's all.
And that's where she started, yes, few years back as a actually commissioner. Thank you very much. Council member and Kwan.
It's always very heartwarming to see community members step up and volunteer their time generously to help shape the future of our city and, do a lot of the deep dive discussions that are required. I'd like to remind everybody that these committee meetings are always open to the public. And so a lot of interesting discussions happen there at these committees. Oftentimes I'm asked questions later on that were answered and discussed during these committee meetings. So I encourage everyone to attend and or watch these committee meetings if you can. And thank you everyone for volunteering.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Kwan. Councilmember Lavelle.
Yeah, you're hearing nothing but praise. It's because we know that we cannot do this job up here without our commission members or committee members doing good work. It's where some of the first work happens. It's where some of the best work happens. Staff and council both rely very heavily on commissioners for all the volunteer time that goes into it. Council does our best to take commission recommendations and move them forward into becoming ordinances, laws, proclamations, any number of things. So literally cannot do this without the folks. So thank you for volunteering your time. And for those of you who are able to make it here tonight, always good to see you. Thank you. Thanks.
Councilmember Vincent.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and special thanks to the community members that are here tonight, and those who were not selected. I wanted to thank them as well for signing up. This is no small feat. You guys are taking time away from your families to ensure that this community can operate at its best. So I tip my hat to you all, and thank you.
Thank you very much, Councilman Vincent. Deputy Mayor.
Yes, just want to echo the sentiments of my colleagues, and just was really fun reading all the applications and just seeing the breadth of experience that you all bring, from working in the Department of Transportation to delivering Meals on Wheels, from your personal lived experience as veterans and early childhood providers. And so just really thank you for bringing your full selves, your knowledge, your expertise, and your lived experience into this space. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I always want to be a commission member. I don't want to be a council member. I don't want to be a mayor. But 2018, I applied to be commission member. I didn't get interview, actually. I was committed to this city. I know because I can contribute, and I have time at that time. I met each one of you. You were amazing people who really care their neighborhood and communities. And we are very grateful for your services. And so now I have your certificate. I signed it as confirmed by the council. I just appointed it. The council, it's the council actually. So we will take pictures here.
Mayor.
Yes.
Can we get a vote first,
Okay,
please?
all right. Not yet. Okay, you have not. Okay, so Councilmember Konya.
I vote yes,
Yes.
to appoint. Yes.
For those who, Councilmember Konya.
I vote yes.
Okay, what about Councilmember Lavelle?
Aye.
Councilmember Vincent.
Aye.
Do it to me.
Aye.
I was a little bit ahead of myself because I was very excited to meet all of us. So my apology. We have the clerk here. She always keep me narrow and straight. So I will take your pictures. We'll come here, and I will call you. Mr. Blai will be number one. Number two is, individually, is Miss 10 here. 10, 9. Okay. What about Luis here? I can see that. Mr. Sapio, beautiful. And Mr. Ms. Salgado, she's not here. Okay, so we have 3 here, and I will start with Mr. Blai, Luis, and Mr. Sapio.
Check. Check, check. Good, okay.
All right. So the next item in the agenda will be key city issue and requested for direction. It will be 30 minutes presentation from the city manager. City manager.
Thank you, Mayor, City Council. This evening, the main update we want to share with you is an update on our FIFA preparedness efforts. To offer this update, Interim Deputy City Manager Evan Maxim and our City Engineer Florendo Cabedal will be offering an update. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council. I'm Evan Maxim, your interim Deputy City Manager, joined this evening by Florendo Cabedal. And this is my first presentation to you on this subject, so Florendo is here to make sure that I don't say something that's inaccurate or problematic. And I thought I'd start with a slide that really I think you've seen many times in your previous presentations. This represents essentially the universe of the various activities that the city of SeaTac is engaged in around the FIFA events, starting in June and extending through early July. You'll recall that the color coding reflects both items that we had previously planned into your existing body of work in advance of FIFA. The green represents the expansion that we engaged in around FIFA events, and then the red is, of course, some additional safety work. Beautification work that we've engaged in since. Assuming I can move my slides forward. Wanted to provide a little bit of an update on the overall FIFA status and the projects that you've seen on the screen. Introducing this slide is a little bit of a new slide, but thought that this could be something that we would use over the next few months as we approach the FIFA events. And really just trying to capture a couple categories of different types of projects that we've been tracking and pursuing over the last several months. Community safety, I think you're very familiar with some of our work around security personnel, the EOC, naloxone. Pleased to report that is moving forward in a very stable way, and we expect no real change from what we've reported to you previously. Beautification, so our litter work, murals, vegetation, facade improvements. Also anticipate that this is moving forward and is on track for FIFA coming up this June. Activation sites, so all three sites, Council may recall, and I have a slide kind of elaborating on all three sites here momentarily, but we have the site up by the Kiss and Ride, located at 176 and International Boulevard, the site that's located by the former Chase Bank building just to the west of Bow Lake near the Doubletree Hotel. And then we have the site, of course, that we were just visiting a little bit earlier today down by the Bullpen property. All three of those sites are still on track for activation. Not seeing anything that would be concerning at the moment. For our showcasing of small businesses, cultural outreach, and our marketing, we do have a couple contracts that are still yet to be signed. We're negotiating with the various vendors related to those contracts. That's why you see the yellow dot there, because they're not all in place, so I can't really tell you that everything's on track at the moment. We are actively working to move those contracts forward. Transportation management, and Florendo, of course, would be the expert to speak to transportation management, but my understanding is that our planning work around both transportation vehicle management and pedestrian management is on track and ready to move forward. Communications, I'll touch on again in a moment on one of the next slides. We are starting to build out our communications plan with our comms team. I have some preliminary notes for you here. This will be communications really focused on Sea-Tac specific audiences, so our resident community, our small business community. This is not the communications that you've sometimes heard Explore Seattle Southside speak to, which is really more focused on our tourists or our travelers. Additional seasonal staffing, we're in the process of filling those positions that you previously authorized. And then, of course, we are in the process of signing contracts for additional security services during the FIFA events as well. So moving on to our community engagement piece, I alluded to this a moment ago. We are looking at, for our internal communications, really focusing on a resident-first messaging approach. Reaching out via a variety of social media platforms. I'm tempted to say the Facebook, but I'll try not to date myself too much. But Facebook, Nextdoor, TikTok, Instagram, our website, regular social media outreach that you've seen us do on other projects. We anticipate that our community outreach really will have 3 phases. We're at the very start of phase 1, which is preparing for FIFA. During the FIFA events, we will have an activate community outreach where we'll really be focusing on, putting out information related to our site activations, various events that are occurring in the area and nearby. And then post FIFA, I think we really want to look at, what types of investments our community has made in the FIFA events and how those might continue moving forward. I mentioned the bullpen site, or the former bullpen site, a moment ago. Really looking at the FIFA transformation. Council will recall there's a cleanup action we need to do after the FIFA events itself, and then the long-term activation, and that's really part of that legacy outreach. Happy to expand on this as we develop the communication work plan. This is really kind of early days for us, so I'm anticipating our next presentation will have a much more detailed description, if you will, of our community engagement plans. I wanted to touch on the site activations a little bit, and I think our council has seen a version of these presentations in the past. For orientation for anyone who's following along online or here in the chambers, I'm moving from north to south. So this first site is located up at the intersection of 176 International Boulevard, sometimes referred to as the Kiss and Ride site. And you can see we have kind of a mix of different activations on that site. We have a pump track that's in the lower right-hand corner of the graphic, a small mini pitch soccer area just to the north of that, food trucks around the Kiss and Ride, and then some activation on the plaza area just to the left. We are paying pretty close attention to the second elevator construction as we look at planning this site. Be direct, the timelines are tight, but they do still seem to be feasible at this time. Next site, moving south, down. This is down by the DoubleTree, and this is, of course, at street level perspective. You may recognize the former Chase building. The graphic here represents a pretty significant investment in terms of paint and some asphalt treatments. This is one of the areas where we do have some viewing spaces. So we have the large screen available for viewing. We have food and drink available on the site, another gathering space. It's very close to both the DoubleTree and then just a little bit south of the new Sparks Hotel, not too far from the Hilton. It's about the 184th block on International Boulevard. And then moving south to down by South 200th Street, we have the former bullpen site. We're now characterizing this as the International Dining District. It's right next to our International Village, the future home of City Hall and a variety of other amenities that you've heard us describe. This site does entail the most direct construction work. We are looking at demolishing 2 buildings on this property, which, if you're looking at this graphic, they're essentially right next to where the food truck with a red roof and the food truck with a white roof are parked on that site. And everything above those 2 food trucks in this graphic would be essentially areas where we would have food, drink, gathering. The former Mini Mart site is at the top center of that graphic, and we are looking at modifying that building to have a place for potentially alcohol sale. So those are the 3 activation sites. As I mentioned, we're thinking of a soft opening in early June and then running these sites through July.
Just a note that I think council members, the version we see from the packet, this is blocked over with the second image. I think you've got an animation on here that drops another image onto this slide. We see like a checkerboard lawn with the building that says the corner. So council members should turn towards the screen for the context behind what Interim Deputy City Manager Maxim is saying, I think.
And I appreciate that, council members.
got a little lost for a second, which is not unusual, so I wanted to clarify.
Thank you, Councilmember Lovell. I did not think of that when I PDF'd the slides for your packet. I apologize for the mistake. There was a graphic distributed at the bullpen site as well, which may be useful.
I had hammers in my hands. I was.
Mentioned our community outreach a few moments ago. One of the things our GIS and comms team are in the middle of putting together, so I really only have a screenshot to share with you this evening. We will have a URL posted as soon as it's available for public consumption, is a combination of our GIS mapping platform, our calendaring of events, and then a description of events. We're anticipating that this would be the kind of thing where you could click on an event that you might be interested in, either by day a week or by searching the event name, and it would actually bring up the map as to where that event is located and which days of the week. So we think this is one of the tools that will be very useful for our community when we're communicating out our programming as we approach the summer. As I said, it's still under development, so if you're watching online or eager to see it, it's not quite available yet. Did want to touch on budget just a little bit. So this graphic represents the budget as it existed in terms of all expenditures associated with FIFA at the end of 2025. I'll note there was about 1.6 in general fund expenditures budgeted at that time, about 3.4 million in expenditures associated with lodging tax, and another 350-odd thousand associated with our street and our public safety funds. I do want to note that right-hand column represents two different funds. Just for simplicity on the screen, I combined those two funds into one column. I'm pleased to report that it appears that we do have some cost savings coming from our general fund based on our current programming. So you'll note that we went from about 1.6 in general fund expenditures to a little over 600,000 in general fund expenditures. Those savings are a combination of a couple different things. Some of the general fund expenditures moved from general fund to lodging tax. So picking up that traveler and tourist cost and using that dedicated fund for that type of work. Most easily seen on your top row, the SeaTac Farmers Market. The community business facade improvements has moved essentially half and half over to lodging tax. And then a number of things that we had programmed into general fund expenditures originally are being picked up by the World Table District funding that you provided as part of your previous approvals. The main notable here, and I'll switch back and forth from screen to screen, you'll note that the FIFA activation sites, we originally budgeted $650,000 for FIFA activation. Much of that is now being picked up by the lodging tax funding that we allocated to that site. We are continuing to go through the general fund expenditures in particular and trying to determine which of those expenditures could be moved more appropriately over to lodging tax. We are also looking for cost savings. You'll note the third row down, the police and security staffing on this slide represents a total expenditure of approximately $29,000. We had originally budgeted $360,000. What we've come to understand is there may be a cost savings associated with the King County Sheriff's Office providing regional security, which actually drops our total costs significantly. Plan to continue to visit this slide as we continue to approach the FIFA events moving forward. And with that, City Council, I'm done with my update for you this evening, unless you have questions for us.
Thank you very much, Director. Any question or comments? I will start. Mr. Rafael.
Yeah, thank you. We've been tracking this pretty closely in PED. This isn't my first time seeing the just incredible work, I think, of the team. We've got, sometimes in many large systems, including government, we see that we try to do we try to go for a perfect. And we sometimes have the time to really keep refining and refining. We don't really have as much of a choice on this. We can't delay FIFA by a few weeks just until we can activate our food truck sites. So the result is that we have to either accept a finished product that's not as good, or staff in particular have to work a lot harder to make it so that we are meeting a deadline with a finished product with a lot of variables, right? We have just acquired the bullpen. happened on a certain timeline. Some things came up that we didn't expect. Some things came up that we were happy to have happen. So it's been kind of bouncing around. We got great support from the state with some funding for it. So we didn't exactly know where everything was going to land. And when you have kind of a bit of an open-ended timeline, that's okay. But with this kind of thing, we had to nail this. And despite staff having to put in extra work, to see that we're under budget out of general fund at this point is it's just a monumental achievement. This is one of the goals, that we've had as a council since we started to identify our structural deficit, is to figure out the places where we can alleviate pressure from general funds. We also didn't want to miss an opportunity, right, and kind of tank this effort of FIFA through austerity. And so we invested the money, we committed the money, and now we've seen that it's actually going to be a benefit to us that we did that. Not only that, the product is going to be we're going to have a really good activation for FIFA throughout the city, but also we're going to end up doing it, is this on time and under budget? This isn't how construction works, interim deputy city manager. I'll take it though, for sure. I'm really proud to be a city council person with a small team doing this much work. So I don't have any questions at the moment. I know I'm going to I have the benefit of being at all the PED meetings for the last year since we really started digging into a lot of this stuff. So I would, if folks have questions about specific items that we don't have time for today, there are agendas available online and minutes available online where a lot of this has been covered. But just huge congratulations and thank you to the team for getting us this far. We got a few more months of this, and then we get to knock it all down again and build up something even better. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Kwan.
Thank you. So we were at the bullpen earlier today, and very exciting. Looking forward to activating that space. I'm glad that to see that a lot of the FIFA-related funding is proposed to be coming out of the city's lodging tax. I think if there is anything that the lodging tax would be very good for, is something like this, that we have an actual worldwide event where people will be coming into our city. If we have opportunities, I would encourage to potentially explore using more of the lodging tax dollars and less of our general fund dollars, if possible. Okay, I know that it's not always possible, but I would like to see more of the funding shift over from our general fund to lodging tax. So regarding the planning, I know that for the summer. And this is true for every industry, including people who paint houses, for the summer. They're planning now. And so if we wait until like maybe 1 or 2 months before the event, it will be very difficult to get anyone scheduled at that point. I know this because, summertime around the Pacific Northwest here is very short, right? Typically a few months. And so people are looking forward to that all year round. And so oftentimes I've heard of folks, including businesses, who are scheduling things a year in advance sometimes because they want to secure good locations, good events, and things like that. So regarding food trucks, I learned earlier today that we have a neighborhood food truck that has been in business since 2019, and they said that they're going to be closing potentially, and the reason was because the amount that they're paying to lease the space where they are located in, the lease cost has increased, and so it's challenging everywhere. So I did a little more digging, and what I learned was food trucks typically will gladly pay to conduct business in a prime location, and the bullpen location is an amazingly prime location. 3 different separate street access points right across from the light rail station and all of that. So once that location is activated, I'm hoping that we could potentially charge the food trucks or the organization for use of that space. I mean, not a lot, obviously, but in order to recover some of the costs, hopefully. I know we probably won't recover all of the costs, but I think that would be a great way to do this because that is a prime spot. I know a lot of folks who would be more than happy to pay to be able to conduct business out of that location. Thanks.
Thank you, Councilmember Kwan. Councilmember Konya.
Thank you. And I echo the sentiments around the budgeting, I think. I think it's just a testament to the foresight and creativity of staff, prior council, just over the last year to think big about how to bring people to SeaTac. And one thing that I observe from this is that it's not just about how do we get people here, but when they leave, like, what does our city look like? And so I just want to acknowledge that there's infrastructure here. There are long-term investments and ideas that will stay even when the world leaves SeaTac. And so I just want to say thank you for always centering the residents in something so big. Thank you. That's all.
Thank you very much, Council Member Conyer. Council Member Vincent.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Interim Deputy City Manager. Great presentation. I do have one question. I was perusing through the information here, and I may have overlooked it, but the police and security staffing that dropped from 360,000 down to 29,000. Can you share or elaborate a little bit more on that?
Yes, Council Member. Give me one moment.
Okay.
You want me to answer on that one? Oh, that would be wonderful.
Thank you. I can probably answer this one a little bit better. So with the work of Captain Morris, I tasked him with going out and finding a security company to contract with. He contacted and spoke with several security contractors, and it turned out Allied. We're currently a contractor in this city, or they provide contract security services, and they were willing to provide us with the requested ask of 2 private security officers with a vehicle at a very reasonable cost, which came in at about the that number you see there was their bid. As far as on the sheriff's office side goes, the sheriff's office is a regional security provider, and therefore qualified for a large amount of money through the local FIFA organization that is set to cover the cost of FIFA upstaffing for the police. So initially when that budget request was put in by myself, I wanted to ensure we had the money to properly staff if that was not granted. That turned out it was granted, so all of the upstaffing for police, all of the overtime costs will be covered by that grant for the city of SeaTac.
Excellent, excellent. So we have a blanket contract, it sounds like, with Allied Security?
It's not a blanket one. This one is a specific to FIFA contract.
Oh, okay.
And the ask was for very specific park security patrols with one, as it was scoped out, with one dedicated to Angle Lake Park, and the other being able to rove around in a marked security vehicle. This was very, very specific for the time frame of FIFA for the day before, day of, and day after each game from the hours of, I'd have to look at it again, but I believe it's 8 o'clock in the morning until 8 o'clock at night.
Okay. And then I guess outside those hours, our King County Sheriff's Office will keep the city safe?
As much as we can, and I can give the council as much of a look into what our staffing is going to look like on game days. Currently, I was going to present that at PS&J, but if you're interested, I can let you know now what our game day staffing will look like.
I'll defer to my colleagues, but I do trust the judgment here. I just saw that significant cost savings, and I was just kind of wondering what was driving that. It doesn't sound like it's a reduction in services, so I am happy to hear that.
No, in fact, I think you'll see at Public Safety and Justice, we've got a great increase in the amount of resources we will have from the Sheriff's Office available, especially on game days.
Excellent. Thank you, Chief. No further questions.
Sorry. No, you're good.
Thank you very much, Council Member Vincent. Deputy Mayor.
Just want to say thank you, Florendo and Director Maxim. No other comments here for me. Thank you.
No question, actually. I have agreed almost everything that Council Member Chairman LaFell said it, actually. We have seen this a very long time. We were working for the last, 8-9 months. We are very good place. So good work, all of you, actually.
Mayor, may I add one last item to
Please.
the presentation? I apologize. It occurred to me that I neglected to share that as part of our As part of our FIFA work and looking forward, we have noticed that the 4th of July falls within that FIFA span. Please take this as me saying that we're looking into whether or not we could do some 4th of July activation at our activation sites. I have understood that our city council is interested in whether or not we can do any 4th of July activities. We're in the midst of scoping that now, and I apologize for not mentioning it earlier in the presentation. I just wanted to call your attention to it, and it is an item that I would anticipate we would present more information about as we get closer to the 4th and FIFA. So pardon me, Mayor, for interjecting. I just didn't want to forget to say it this evening.
Beautiful. Thank you very much. All right. City Manager.
Thank you, and thank you to the team for the great presentation and great work on the FIFA preparedness effort. Really, just a few more updates, primarily on grant applications that have been submitted. Several council members and I were out in Washington, D.C. last week. We have submitted an application to Senator Cantwell's office for earmarks related to the Sea-Tac International Village that mirrors the effort that was sponsored by Congressman Smith for $1.9 million for cleanup of the bullpen site. So excited to be out there and lobbying for those federal funds to come to the city of Sea-Tac. Also, there has been a grant application submitted through the Puget Sound Regional Council for 2026 Transportation Alternatives Programs. That's $4 million for Phase 2 of the 34th Avenue South project. And would want to just make a quick note that we received a very gracious letter of support from the Port of Seattle for that request as well. And finally, we have been made aware that Congressman Smith has expressed interest in supporting a request from East African Community Services for a development project that would be supported by $2 million of federal funding. However, because of the nuances of the federal funding ask, the EACS is in need of a qualifying sponsor agency to push forward this application on their behalf. City staff have looked at this and determined that this is something that we are capable of taking on. The question that we would look to City Council for your direction on is whether you are supportive of the city playing this role of being the financial sponsor and the contracting agency for these federal pass-through dollars. In preparing this, one thing that we have flagged and that if directed to proceed, we would continue to monitor closely is the nuance of federal grant funding and any terms from the federal government that might be objectionable. We obviously would need to make sure that we had appropriate terms. But this is ultimately an area where we do not currently have clear guidelines in place, and so we obviously want to shore this up with additional financial and administrative policies in the future, but for tonight, looking for your guidance on whether you would like to see the city play a role in supporting this request from EACS and ultimately facilitating a pass-through of federal funding. So look for your direction on that topic.
Beautiful. Thank you very much, and City Manager Young. I will start with this, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you. Yes, I'm definitely in support of this. This is a community benefit. I agree that we do need some processes around this on our end, but this is a very common ask for an entity receiving federal funds to have a pass-through entity such as a government entity doing this on their behalf. And so this has no fiscal impact to city, some staff administrative support, but at the end of the day, it's going to provide community learning space, affordable housing, serve up to 700 residents annually. It's located in the city of Sea-Tac, Anchor Lake, and so I don't see any reason as to why we should not support this. Thank you.
Okay, so I have different take this. So I want, because the Deputy Mayor is in support, I am actually against, and I want to tell you why. I love EIC. I love what they do. It's a great organization located in the city of Sea-Tac. But if we do this, it will open another door. For the last year and a half, over 7 different number of organizations amazing organizations, good organizations that I agreed 100% to what they does, came to me and asked us to do basically exactly this, or write letter of recommendation. And I told them, look, I cannot do it. And they said that, city that and city that actually wrote letter of recommendation. And I said, we have different charter. If the mayor of city of that, I'm not naming the city, can write you letter of recommendation, I cannot do it. So if we do this, then we have to be ready, actually, to do for every other organization that came to us in the future and asking us to, support them or be, this is basically, pass-through is basically to be fiscal agent, I know that smaller, I've been in a number of organizations for a very long time. Small organizations, amazing organizations, when they apply funding, private or public, they need fiscal agency. So the city basically is going to be this fiscal agencies for this. And that is additional staff, additional, they can, all the organizations can go to their council, city congressman and the senators or the state representative and ask them. And they actually make and support this and get earmark. But what I don't like to see, and I'm objecting here, is that if we do this for EIC, and I love them to be successful and to get this earmark, we will see other organizations that's coming to us. And we cannot say that we did them, but we are not going to do that. The doctrine of fairness and fair play and open government and all of those questions, we cannot choose who will get and all of those, who will not get it. So I want to caution my friends, in the council, that if you do this, then be ready. Others will come to you maybe a year, maybe 1 month, and then ask you. So you will be the one who will say that we will not do for you, but we do for them. I wish you the best like you. There's many ways that I can write in person recommendations without using the city logo, as a citizen or our mayor of the city. Not speaking the city's actually name, but as an individual council member. So knowing that, I like to see that we have, we gave direction to the staff, and that's the only way that I'm actually objecting or supporting for supporting this. I will start in Ms. Konya.
Thank you, Mayor. I am curious, I guess, clarification. SeaTac doesn't currently provide this service to any other organization. This would be our first.
I would invite our finance director to weigh in, but what I can share is that we have staff amongst ourselves have talked with each other and asked, where did she go? Our deputy director to weigh in to let us know if we have been in a situation where we administered funding and become a pass-through. So here she is. I was just kind of buying time for you, Gwen.
That's okay. I just had to check with Mohammed. He is back here. He is our grant administrator, and I just needed to verify that we actually had not. We have not had a successful application. We have supported ACHD in their grant application last year. We did support them to become a pass-through agency for them.
So, sorry, can I add that although not federal funding, we did serve as a pass-through entity or fiscal sponsor for the Congolese Integration Network for the refugee resettlement funds. Is that correct?
That is correct. That was not a pass-through organization or a pass-through grant, but yes, we did support them, and we do serve directly serve them, work with them to serve the immigrants. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. And so this ask is to add to services we have already as a city, committed or said that we're open to providing?
We have been open to providing these services in the past. We have not had a successful grant application other than Congolese Integration Network for the migrants grant that we got. I'm sorry, I'm butchering the name of that.
Could you speak a little bit more to the current staff support and infrastructure and like processes we have in place, and if that is sufficient to take on another organization?
Sure. For the WAMAS, we do that. We do process that grant through the Human Services Division. So they manage that. We did bring on a part-time staff, and that staff member is paid for out of that grant. I have not had an opportunity to look at the details of this particular earmark that we're applying for, or that the agency is applying for. I am hoping that we can cover some of the costs out of that if we do take this on, and if they are awarded, that we would be able to cover the cost of administrative services for them. And currently, I said we have a grant administrator. He has assured me he has the capability and time to manage this, and that would be how we would take this on.
I think I would appreciate knowing what we are taking on, both maybe like in time, and it sounds like the grant administrator feels that they're capable of doing that. In addition to any, if there is a part that SeaTac is specifically sponsoring, I just want to make sure that we know what we're, like, I want to know what I'm agreeing to, essentially, or not agreeing to.
We will follow the procedure here. The council member Konya has the mic, and she's asking the staff, so we will wait a bit, Mayor, and you will have your time. So go ahead, council member Konya.
So my understanding is it's a $2 million grant for capital, and it would take, what would happen is we'd have to have an agreement with the agency. They would have to comply with the agreement. They would invoice us for the services that they have already provided or the capital that they have spent, and we would reimburse them with the grant funds. Then we would be responsible for requesting the grant funds from the federal government and then passing them through to the agency.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's a lot. I don't think I have any more questions. At this time, I just don't feel like I have enough information to support either way. I'm curious and I'm open to learning more. I would just like additional information on, what it is they're asking for, like what we would, I just want to see what that would look like, essentially.
And right now, I don't know that we have the answers for that. So sorry, I can't.
But I do support what the East African Community Services does, especially since it services in SeaTac, and they're all of the priorities that we just said that are important to us as a city through our Human Services Strategic Plan, and so I want to support those things, and I just want to make sure that we are aware of what we're committing to. That's all.
Thank you very much. So, Councilmember Kwan.
Yeah, thank you. So just to clarify, the funding that was provided as a pass-through to the Congolese Integration Network was state funding, from my understanding, not federal funding.
That is correct.
State funding. Okay.
Yes.
Different scenario there, I believe. So some of you might not know, a little over 2 years ago, I actually started my own nonprofit with a partner. This is a national nonprofit, so I understand the whole process, the whole pitfalls, the whole challenges, and all of that stuff. And our nonprofit is so far pretty successful. It's a national thing, it's not SeaTac specific or anything like that. However, I'm very familiar with pass-through funding models, and this is one of the things that was covered at a previous NLC training thing. So a couple of issues with the pass-through model is that once the funding has passed through an entity, and it could be the city, it could be some other organization, the pass-through entity, in this case the city, we then have reduced control and accountability of the funding because it's moved on, right? We're not the ones that are using the funds directly. However, that does not release the legal and compliance liability. The city still has the legal and compliance liability of that funding originally. In addition to that, because of that, the city then assumes the administrative risk, the administrative burden, and all of that stuff for the compliance portion of it. Okay. At the end of the day, we are potentially exposed to audit risks and stuff like that. It found out that it was mismanaged for whatever reason, and I'm not saying it will be. I'm just saying that it will increase risk. There's also equity and transparency concerns. How do we, why not? I mean, we could have a line of, 50 different, before you know it, it will open the floodgate. There'll be 50 different organizations all, applying for pass-through funding through the city of SeaTac, where we would be serving as a clearinghouse in that scenario, right? Then there's the performance and outcome risk. We don't know. There's no guarantee on, how I'm sure that there will be a contract and all of that, but we don't know if those will be met until after all is said and done, right? There's also potential timing, delays, things like that we have no control over at that point. And then the biggest issue is, although the city has clear outlines on the city's mission, goals and all of that stuff, it is possible that there could be a mission drift over time, because it's not us that is directly working with the funding. So as a result, it will, at the end of the day, increase potential risk exposure and liability to the people of SeaTac. And I think that as a responsible body that needs to reduce risk for our residents, we should. Surprisingly, I agree with Mayor Mohamed Yao on this. Okay. Yeah. That I believe is a smart thing to do. At the end of the day, the organizations themselves can go directly after the funding. They can. Okay, every organization can do that, and I know that there's capacity issues and all of that stuff, but those are the growth challenges, and successful organizations are able to navigate that, which is why they end up becoming successful. So that's my comment for this. Thanks.
Thank you, Councilmember. That never happened, but it's very silly. So, Councilmember Lavelle.
Yeah, I have a couple of questions. Has anyone from the sponsoring Congressman Smith, Congressman's office, which is Adam Smith, been in contact with the city of Seattle, the city of SeaTac, to suggest this is the appropriate course of action?
Going to look to Interim Deputy City Manager Maxim to come share a bit more backstory on the exchange. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor, Councilmember Lovell. Yes, Adam Smith's office. So I want to make sure that there's some clarity, if I may, so an elaborate answer. The city of SeaTac has not applied for this grant funding. This was an application filed by East African Community Services for the Horn of Africa project. Adam Smith's office, Congressman Adam Smith's office contacted us indicating that they could not provide funding to East African Community Services directly, as the funding could only be allocated to a local government, the city of SeaTac in this case. And so the question that was posed by Mr. Smith's office was whether or not the city of SeaTac could accept the funding. We provided a preliminary answer subject to city council approval that we thought we could administer the funding. And I'll remind the council, the process I believe you've established is that when we are essentially engaged in the application, we seek council approval. And when we are engaged in accepting of the funds, we seek council approval for amounts of this size. So we're in that first category, which is why we don't have, for example, an agreement with East African Community Services to share with you this evening. And we have not really scoped what that administrative liability, if you will, would be on the part of the city of SeaTac. There will be another, if the city council were to authorize us to engage in this activity tonight, there would be another logical touch point that you should anticipate, which would be when we are anticipating receiving the funding. We just don't have some of the answers for you this evening because we have not moved past that first step. Does that help clarify, Council and Mayor?
Well, I think it answers my question and gives more information that supports the position I have, which is that we should support this. And there are two primary reasons. The first is that if the Congressman's office is asking us to do this, it feels like an appropriate step to take. Second is if there is precedent, and we have done this before, especially in recent memory for another organization. You cautioned us, Mayor Gall, that if we do this once, then everyone will come beating down our door and we'll have to decide why we say no. Then we'll have to decide why we say no today and why we said yes within the last year. Since we don't have a very good procedure and protocol, it seems like a really bad time to develop that on the fly from the dais. So just the fact that we have precedent of doing this is enough for me to lean in to support this. Strengthening that is that Congressman Smith's office is asking us, or is telling us, the only way this process works with this particular THUD EDI, right? This is congressionally directed spending. It used to be called earmarks, for those of you who, there were earmarks for a long time, and folks used to bring pork back to their districts, and everyone loved them for it, and they'd get reelected and all this kind of stuff. And then they said, okay, we need to have some accountability. We're killing earmarks. And they brought them back as these things, these CDS requests, congressionally directed spending. There are many ways in which they rhyme very closely with earmarks. The tune has changed a little bit because there's a lot more paperwork that goes behind it. I'm actually submitting an earmark through my day job tomorrow to Senator Murray's office. I'm managing an earmark right now, building out a building in Pioneer Square through my day job, and I'm a partner with in my day job with another earmark, CDS, also through that. And I've done applications through Congresswoman Jayapal's office and Congressman Smith's office through other efforts. So fairly familiar with these. It's a very different kind of pass-through funding than your typical federal funding, right? Because these are not things where you've got an allocation given to HUD. HUD does the rulemaking grant and the grant process, and you're now managing there. When the elected has made this into the, if it gets into their pot, and these things can take a long time to get passed by the Senate and Congress, right, or Senate and then and the House and then Congress, right? These are not. It'll be a while till this money makes it to us. I'll just tell you that these things have historically taken and lately taken a lot more time. They go towards their intended purpose. A new federal administration, for example, cannot change what that earmark goes towards. If it was passed by a previous Congress, that CDS, I keep saying earmark, see the habit dies hard, that congressionally directed spending still goes towards that original thing. So it's actually one of the more protected forms of federal funding, good or bad, whether it's something that you agree with the administration or not. So I'm confident that should this come through, it'll go towards the thing it's meant to do. I'm also just ethically, I feel like if we've done it recently and we haven't developed a better procedure since then, and the precedent is already set, we ought to follow that precedent and take it unto ourselves to build a better protocol for the next ones that come through. But also if the Congressman's office is asking us for it, I feel strongly that we should support it. That's the end of my arguments on this. So you have my support on this, or there is my support on it.
Beautiful. Thank you very much. Councilman Vincent.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and I just want to thank my colleagues for this engaging dialogue. I do have a few questions for the staff. What is the timeline that we have here before we have to respond to Congressman Smith?
I'm sorry, I'm only, Evan, I'm actually parroting what you shared with me, so yeah. Please go ahead.
So, Councilmember Vincent, I believe my understanding is that we do not have time for another council review of this item before the deadline will have passed for Congressman Smith's office to file. I believe the filing, my understanding, occurs next week. So Congressman Smith, I believe, has been proceeding based upon an assumption that council approval will be forthcoming. Okay. My characterization, I have not heard that directly.
Neither have I.
I believe the filing will be next week, and of course, if it were not allocated funding this year, there might be a future year in which it could be allocated funding.
Okay, thank you. I do have some additional questions of our city attorney, if I may. I guess what exactly would the city's legal and financial liability be as this pass-through entity if we were to approve this tonight?
Well, that's a very good question. And
Also, have you reviewed this document? Sorry.
No, we have not had a chance to look at the actual document unless it's been provided to the city, and I just haven't been forwarded that. But as far as any legal obligation or any risk, that is one of the questions that I presented to staff when the question was presented to me about noncompliance risk, whether we will have any legal or financial obligation should the agency fail to comply with the provision of the grant. Not saying that they will.
Correct.
But just saying that that is one of the questions that probably need to be addressed before we do so.
Yes.
And the other factor that I would ask folks to consider is what are the administrative authority that we would have as a pass-through to make sure that they're not getting in any kind of legal or financial risk, because the city's name would obviously be attached to this.
Absolutely.
What I do recall, if I just from memory, I was forwarded the email from Congressman Smith's office. They did say that the submissions and materials that will be, that's necessary for this application will be provided and completed together with agency and the office. So that is they're very supportive and they're willing to work with us. It's just the what of it all is what legal is worried, not just want to make sure that is established.
Thank you. I do appreciate that. So if we were to, I guess, support this tonight, who on the staff would manage compliance, reporting, and auditing? I'm looking at Jonathan to answer that.
Yeah, thank you for that. So if you were to authorize us to proceed,
yes,
this would be a team effort to make sure that, one, we are proceeding with a plan to manage the grant using our finance team. We would also be working closely with our legal department to make sure that we're mitigating foreseeable risks that could, through appropriate contracting with the subrecipient. And then ultimately, this would involve one more touch with City Council to bring it back for your awareness of the full grant terms or of the full congressionally directed spending terms upon the issuance of the award. So periodic updates and a multi-department collaboration.
And I'm assuming we have capacity?
We do. I mean, we certainly have competing issues and competing projects, and if this is a priority for the City Council, we will make sure that we resource it, looking heavily to our finance team because probably the heaviest lift will be on our grant administrator. Yeah.
If I may, in my reading of the documents, my understanding is the award won't, the actual draw from the award won't happen until 2027 or 2028, so we do have some time to get through what we're doing currently and in order to manage it a little bit. Use up some time.
Yeah, that does make me feel better. I guess, and I heard this question raised, I'm going to ask it again. I guess, how will we develop this framework of when to say yes and when to say no to these proposals? Because I do appreciate the mayor's remarks about being approached many times. I think Councilmember Kwan, these organizations can go after this funding on their own. So how do we establish a clear framework?
Yeah, I appreciate that. And I hear and take away from this conversation that this is a referral that we would be ripe for seeking referral to ANF to develop a policy. From my perspective, one of the best ways to break and start a new precedent is by establishing a written policy, and that would be an appropriate way to do that, is to seek referral of this issue to ANF, develop a policy, adopt it, and then work pursuant to the terms of that newly adopted policy in the future.
Thank you. One last question, and it's coming from a place of privilege, looking at our finance director here. Are we feeling confident we could support this request if the council were to provide direction to support this?
Yeah, I did speak again with Mohammed Ihsan, who is my grant administrator, and he did assure me that he would have the capacity to take this on. I would like to also say that it will impact our audit. We would be I'm sorry, words are really hard for me today. We would have to have a single audit. It would probably put us over our limit, so that would be an additional ask, but we do feel we can handle that. We are very good at dealing with our federal funds, so I don't believe it will be an issue for us. I would not have agreed to it if I thought it was going to be.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
So, you have any question?
No, I just, thank you, Mayor, and apologies. I just want to clarify because I heard a couple of different things on the dais. This organization has already applied for funding. The City of SeaTac is not applying on their behalf. They have already engaged with Congressman Smith's office, and it seems like it's going in a direction that they will receive these $2 million. This is time sensitive. If we are not willing to be their fiscal sponsor or pass-through entity, then that leaves an, potentially, a lot of you just came back from DC to advocate for funds into our community. This is a $2 million investment into our community. So I just want to reiterate that. And I also want to speak to, again, $2 million for construction costs, not staffing, not programming, not operational costs. It's for construction cost for a site that they own. And they're doing this in partnership, or their plan is to do this in partnership with Bellwether Housing, which is one of the largest and most established nonprofit affordable housing developers in our area. And so that is why I am so confident. I'm just like sitting here with lots of angst because I'm like, this is literally a workforce development site coming into the city of SeaTac with one of the nonprofit agencies housed here in Angle Lake, city of SeaTac, working with an established developer. And our congressman is asking us to do this on behalf of our community that we serve. And so it is very difficult for me to engage in this conversation. And I just, again, want to reiterate my full support and confidence in our staff to manage this as they do with our federal, state, and local grants. So thank you so much.
Okay, I will recognize you, Mr. Kwan. I have three comments I would like to make. For the last few years, if you asked congressional Edmark from any our elected, they asked that number of organization, would you get support, letter of support, recommendations from your city? So it's not something new or particular for this ask or request. Nowadays, any organization can go Adam Smith or Senator Moore, and they have actually organizations came to us asking that Senator Moore asking us to get the city, and the rest I said it, I cannot do it, the council have to do it. So there's nothing new. The congressman asking the city of SeaTac to support this. It happened. It's happened in the city of Seattle. It happened in the city of Taguila. I'm in social service. I know what's going on and what's going on in this area. So there's no really mystery in there. That's number one. Second, we did pass through one time, as Mr. Kwan mentioned it, and that was the refugee emergency funding for 2024, something like that.
That was the emergency funding in 2024, and we are still managing that grant until mid 2026.
Absolutely. And the reason we did, and the council have made that determination, was SeaTac has the second largest immigrants in King County, and we were under refugee emergency at that time. So the service providers, immigrant and refugee service providers in SeaTac were not capable of getting that state funding. So we came collectively and said, in order to get portion of that, because we were the second impacted city, beside, outside of Seattle, we have like 800 people living around in the city and hotels. We should do that. And the council made that determination. When we get that money, it was open for every agency. It was not going the Congolese, the IRC, it was open. I don't have problem. If this funding The city get $2 million, and it's open for every organization. But I don't think that East Africans will allow that or want to do that. So it's not actually that, if you say that we did the refugee, but why we are not doing this, it's not same situation. This is one asking for one organization for a specific purpose, which I believe and I love, and this actually eating me because I care those people. It is the people that I have served 25 years of my life. My problem will be the second point, which is fairness. Our government should be fair. If they do this for the EEC, they have to do all other organizations who have office, who serve in this. Then it's up to you, those who are supporting in this council, to say, no, we did this for them, but we are not doing for you. I will not be. In the record, I said fairness is the foundation of good government, and we have to treat people fair. And I don't think that, I don't know why, AIC are asking. They can get, if the congressman wanted to give them money, he will give them money. I mean, he gave millions of dollars to a lot of organizations that never came to us. But there is a reason. Anyway, I will recognize it. I'm still where I was, Mr. Kwan. I will come to you, Mr. Rafael.
Thank you. So yeah, that was a good point. I do remember when we were faced with, it was literally an emergency situation at the time related to the state funding that became available, that was offered. And at the time, I do remember that the city had reached out to multiple organizations to try to find one who can provide this specific service that we were asking for. We said, hey, we need this service. At the time, and I know this because the IRC was one of the organizations that was aware of this going on, and they said, well, we are already receiving direct funding from the state, and so we can't double dip and receive additional funding from the city because it's coming from the state again. So they declined. So it was a fair process where the city was seeking an organization very different from the current situation where an organization has something and comes to the city and wants us to be the pass-through entity. So I just want to address something so that we are all clear on this, because this is how I feel. So just like we all work for the residents of SeaTac or the people of SeaTac, okay, our state and federal representatives work for us. We don't work for them, just like our residents don't work for them. So we don't ask our residents, hey, can you do this? No, we don't do that. We do what our residents ask us to do. So the fact that, somebody higher up at the federal level or at the state level is asking us to do something, we don't, we're the ones who say, look, we need this, please make this happen for us, right? And if it didn't happen that way, then I have another issue with that as well, okay? So, this is not something that we asked for. This is something that's being asked of us. And what is really being asked of us is to assume the risk and liability and administration and all of that other stuff. That's what's really being asked of us, okay? And it could easily be asked to any other city. And it probably has, and they probably declined. I don't know, okay? So, again, I also want to reiterate this because I'm going through this right now with my organization. Any organization can directly apply for any kind of grant funding. Doesn't have to be federal. It could be state. It could even be a private, a philanthropic organization funding. Any organization can directly apply to that. A lot of the organizations who apply get denied. Why? Because they do not qualify for the funding, for whatever reason it might be. It could be they haven't been in business long enough. It could be they don't have the capacity. It could be they don't have a history of successful projects or whatever it might be. And in the case of my organization, we don't have a history because we're still new. So we're still struggling with that, okay? So I understand that. And so if the organization can directly apply and get approved and get the funding, more power to them, and I would support that, okay? But being asked to basically co-sign a loan, this is what the situation is. Being asked to co-sign a loan for whatever reason is something that I think we really need to be careful of, because as stewards and trusted to oversee the public funds of the city of our city and the people of our city and mitigate the risk and liabilities and all of that stuff. I want to make sure that we reduce risk and liability as much as possible for the people of SeaTac. Thanks.
I will recognize Councilmember Lavelle, and if the council, deputy mayor, don't have any questions, then we will proceed. We will take. Yes, we are not taking for, but we have to times up and times now. I got Mr. Lavelle.
Well, I mean, there's so many things to address. I mean, first off, on the point of fairness, I agree we should have a fair government. We did this last time for another organization. It would be unfair to not do it this time. That's the basic logic of that. It's a syllogism. If it was fair that time, it is also fair this time because it's an identical type of request. These are really different, by the way, than the state pass-through dollars for operational dollars, right? This is not even in the same realm. Also, not every organization can apply for every grant. Only CDEs can apply for certain grants. Only TDHEs can apply for certain grants. Only, I mean, you have to have, if you don't have site control, there's often grants you can't apply for, especially in capital funding. There are all sorts of things that are required to apply for certain grants. What we have is a quote. I've been doing research on this just from here, and I've been getting good information, updates from folks. The legislative director for Congressman Smith's office. Federal EDI eligibility guidelines require that a local government entity serve as the official recipient of record for this funding request. That is from the legislative director for Congressman Smith. I trust that that person is being truthful when they say this needs your local government's support. So the idea that they can apply for this without us, we're going to have to trust that this is the only way this goes forward is with SeaTac as the local government support. So it's, for me, the fact that it is the only fair thing to do is to do what we've already done for others and not just kick this one down the curb because we haven't yet set up a process. We did it before with the congressionally directed spending request from ACHD. It would be unfair not to do it for EACS. We have a direct request from the Congressman's office, and I believe, can staff at least validate from your side that this is a direct request from the Congressman's office that we are required to do this in order for them to receive this funding?
That is my understanding, Councilmember. Okay.
So I don't see and this isn't about serving, someone up in government is forcing us to do this. And also, we do ask our residents to do things all the time. We ask them to obey by different codes. We ask them to park in certain areas at certain times. This is part of how government works, is our residents support us. We support them. It's a give and take on all sides. We go up to our state. We go up to our county, state, federal representatives to get backing on things. This organization is investing millions of dollars in staff time to try to build housing in SeaTac. They have not gone to other cities for this because the site is in SeaTac. This is the only site that the Congressman's office will recognize, the only city that the Congressman's office will recognize as being a valid pass-through organization because it's a SeaTac property. If the organization does not have the support of the city, the Congressman's office won't be able to support this, the city that the site is located in. So if it was something different where they were still shopping around and they didn't have site control, that'd be a different thing. There's a site in SeaTac. There's a housing crisis. If we accepted it for a crisis, rightfully, a migrant and a crisis last year, if we think there's not a housing crisis, then there's a whole other argument to be made. There's a housing crisis. They're trying to build housing in SeaTac. This $2 million will go towards that. This is what serves the residents of SeaTac in my mind. So it's still got my full support, and I'm actually actively trying to sway others to say they also support it. There is solid logic behind supporting it, and I'm afraid I just don't see the logic in not supporting it.
Thank you, Councilmember Vincent. And we will proceed actually yes or no after Councilmember Vincent.
Awesome. I appreciate it, Mr. Mayor, and just thank you to the previous speaker. I was perusing through this grant application here, and for me, if our staff has confirmed that they can handle this project, it's looking like a solid project. There's already been $10 million that have been deployed. The land's already owned. Bellwether Housing is at the table. I'm looking at 150 affordable housing units. As the previous speaker has already mentioned, we're in a housing crisis in this community. The federal ask is $2 million out of a $93 million development. So we're talking pennies on the dollar here. And I think for a city of ours like SeaTac, where the poverty rate is at 18%, and this severe family shortage of housing, I think this is the right call to make. So I do want to be on the record of supporting that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, so now, yes, moving forward, supporting it, no, not supporting it. I will start Council Member Filzen.
I support it.
Council Member Konya.
I support it.
Council Member Konya. Kwan.
No.
Council Member and Lovell.
I support it.
Deputy Mayor.
Fully.
And I will be no. Beautiful. You have your direction.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, City Council. Appreciate the discussion and the guidance. At a future City Council meeting, we will seek referral of this policy to A&F so that we can start working on that as well. That concludes the request for direction under City Manager's updates. I would just offer one more update, which is that on Saturday, the 29th of March, we do have a spring recycling event that will be held at the Parks and Public Works Maintenance Shop. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you very much. Okay, so the next item will be committee updates. I will start the Council Member Konya. That's BNR.
Thank you, Mayor. So the last Parks and Rec meeting was March 12th. We heard from Linda, our Senior Program Supervisor, and Amy, Senior Program Specialist, as well as Senior Advisory Council Chair, Ms. Lockwood, who gave a presentation providing an overview of the senior program. We learned about how our senior program is focused on fostering connection, promoting well-being among our older adults in Sea-Tac. They are focusing on high-quality, culturally responsive recreational programs to include fitness classes, senior trips, special events, congregate lunches, and connections of supportive social services. Community organizations that have partnered with our program include CMAR, Puget Sound Fire, SHIBA, and King County Library Systems, and Green Sprouts Foods. And our senior program receives significant funding from letters, grant to support the congregate lunch program and additional recreational offerings. They're looking to expand their recreational offerings, their outreach methods, and mostly increasing van ridership for senior lunch pickups. In 2023, with the recommendation of the advisory committee, the senior program staff surveyed SeaTac community to find out what was missing from program offerings, and based on the responses, staff has increased senior fitness, trips, and cultural arts. They are currently working to identify what regular feedback loop or surveys might look like going forward. And we were just really excited to hear about their goals and what they've accomplished in the last year. We also heard from Michael Fitzpatrick, our Parks and Rec Deputy Director, and Aaron Wiseman, Parks Operations Supervisor. They gave a presentation to review and discuss the special use permitting process. We discussed SeaTac municipal park codes and their proposed amendments, such as SMC 2.45.040 for permits for community groups and SMC 2.45.050 proposed amendment to Section B, and the proposed ordinance to amend the first one, permits for community groups. If an organization can comply with all provisions, the city upholds the right to waive the special use permit fee. And then Aaron kindly reviewed the following with us, such as the permit approval process. This is for the pilot program. Permit application requirements, allowable equipment activities, included park amenities and excluded park amenities, proposed fees and 2026 proposed rates, estimated expenditures for SeaTac-based community groups versus an admission-based event, so groups that are not based in SeaTac. And the committee approved to bring forward the proposed ordinance to amend SMC 2.45.050, special use permits, and provide an overview of process at a future council meeting. We did not approve the proposed ordinance to amend SMC 2.45.050, Section B. And then lastly, Director Tuttle gave the following updates. The Rave Foundation, they're a charitable arm of Seattle Sounders FC, provided a free soccer clinic at Valley Ridge. SeaTac Des Moines Creek Trailhead has a grand opening in conjunction with Earth Day. The event will be from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m., and our ribbon cutting will take place at 10 a.m. An update to Riverton Improvement. The Riverton Improvement Project. We thought we would be out to bid by April 1st. We have hit permitting snags for the spray park in general with King County Health Department. The Cultural Resource Review at Engle Lake consultant will be on site to begin their investigative work on the Monday after so this has already happened at this point, the Monday after the last committee meeting. We anticipate the report to be completed by the end of this month. Completion of this work will satisfy the Army Corps of Engineer permitting. Currently, it looks like we're a little behind schedule on this project, but the Pros Plan Community Meeting number 1 will be held tomorrow, March 25th, 6:30 to 7:30 p.m. at the SeaTac Community Center for a hopeful adoption in November. The Spring Recreation Program brochure is out by now. And then we received another $34,000 from For Culture, which will support culture classes, staging and music for summer events, and wrapping the events trailer. The Arts, Culture, Library, and Library Advisory Committee group will be determining that wrap design. And finally, the North SeaTac Park acquisition update. King County Contribution Funds has shared that they have received $40 million over in asks as compared to what they can fund. We will know if we have received funding in July. That is all. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you very much. The next committee update will be Council Member Lavelle from BED, March 19.
How much time do I have, Mr. Mayor?
2 seconds.
2 seconds? I can get you pretty, I'll have to triple that maybe. March 19th, Councilmember Neguse and I were, Deputy Mayor Neguse and I were there. We missed you, Mr. Mayor, but we covered one item. It was a plumbing code amendment. We were bringing the City of SeaTac's language into alignment with what is state law, and then a director's report. We moved it forward, and I think it will come before us for a consent agenda. It's changing a little part of our ordinance to make sure that our plumbing code aligns with whatever is already, and it actually preserves us all the flexibility we had before that line was stricken from our ordinance. So very straightforward. Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you very much. The next report will be the NLC report from Council Member Peter Kwan.
Thank you. So the National League of Cities Board of Directors had a meeting in Washington, D.C. during the conference on November 15th. First news is there was an independent financial audit of for 2024 and 2025 for NLC as an organization. That audit was clear and accepted with no anomalies. The financial results as of January 31st, 2026 for NLC, total operating revenues is at a little over $10.2 million. Operating expenses is at a little bit over $9 million, and the net change in operations is about $1.2 million. Total net assets is at $25.5 million, and the total assets is at a little over $58 million. So financially, NLC is in good shape. Membership-wise, the total number of member cities across America is currently at 2,725, so there has been a slight increase in the total membership for NLC. The largest area is in the South with 1,548 cities, and second place is on the West Coast with 668 cities. A key component of NLC's federal advocacy efforts continues to be legal advocacy, because the courts are increasingly responsible for laws affecting cities and our scope of authority. So NLC continues to coordinate legal advocacy, including filing amicus briefs in cases before the courts that affect local government. Additionally, to keep members up to date on legal implications and challenges to presidential executive actions, NLC continues to update the executive action tracker. So in case you didn't know this, NLC has a website, on their website, an executive action tracker where they are literally tracking every single presidential executive order and the legalities, ramifications, how it affects cities, workarounds, all kinds of stuff that is only available through the membership portal. We each have our own login, so we can access that. I'm happy to provide a link for all council members and staff after the meeting. Grant services, also for members, the NLC Grant Access Tool is a members-only service that provides access to over 10,000 federal, state, and foundation grant opportunities, including private grant funding, and that is also a member-only portal feature. Key policy focus areas for this year, 2026, will be including federal funding, stability, housing supply legislation, infrastructure investment, disaster assistance reform, water systems, and protection from PFAS liability. That is something that directly affects SeaTac due to the airport. Sessions also address workforce development, economic mobility, public safety, early childhood initiatives, and community health. NLC emphasized the importance of direct federal funding to local governments and continued coordination with Congress, federal agencies, and the administration to support cities' needs. At a glance, there are a couple of bills that NLC officially was in favor of, supported, and or lobbied, and encouraged cities to also support. I won't go through the entire list, but I will highlight the ones that directly affect SeaTac. So housing. 21st Century Road to Housing Act is H.R. 6644. Transportation Basics Acts for Safety and Infrastructure for Community Success is H.R. 7437. Water Infrastructure Finance and Innovation Act is H.R. 6229. That includes Water Systems PFAS Liability Protection Act, which is H.R. 1267. Disaster Relief and Mitigation is the FEMA-related act, H.R. 4669, and then there is finally the Streamlining Federal Grants Act, which is Senate Bill 3709. And finally, all board members signed a resolution to lead with civility, dignity, and respect. One of the reasons for this is because of the increasing political divide, divisiveness, and polarization, especially happening, at higher levels of government. So we signed this, and I will read this. It's very brief. We do hereby resolve that member cities, towns, and villages develop and pass their own civility pledge, committing to promote civility within their government bodies, and that we stand united, leading with respect, dignity, and civility to reduce polarization and create an environment that values shared goals, increased empathy, and genuine dialogue. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. The next one will be RFA reports from Mr. Finchen.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, so the Puget Sound Regional Fire Authority Governance Board met on March 18th. I attended the meeting virtually as I was attending NLC at the same time. The meeting opened up with two well-deserved recognitions. Fire Chief Jones presented a Meritus awards to two engineers, one performing CPR off-duty at a youth softball game, saving a life, and another for rescuing a neighbor from a house fire. So both are reminders that the caliber of folks served in this region. We should all be so lucky. On the business side, the board took significant action by unanimously approving resolution number 229, which amends the RFA plan to allow for annexation of King County Fire Protection District number 43 and the city of Black Diamond into the Puget Sound Regional Fire Authority. While there, I did confirm that during the meeting that the advisory member representation, including SeaTac, will remain unchanged through this transition. The board also authorized Fire Chief to begin a process of selling of station number 79 following a brief executive session. A few other items to note: the 360 Responder Health and Wellness Program is actively conducting training and planning for firefighter physicals for operations staff. The fleet department is auditing all staff vehicles, and the facilities team is assessing which stations need remodeling. Finally, the next board meeting on April 1st has been canceled due to limited business, and I will keep this body informed if that changes. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Pearson. Okay, so the next item, which means that we are a little bit behind schedule, will be consent agenda. Christina.
The following item was reviewed at the February 5th Administration and Finance Committee meeting. Agenda Bill number 6804, a motion authorizing the city manager to execute a contract with CWA Consultants, PS, for structural and non-structural plan review. The following item was reviewed at the February 19th Planning and Economic Development Committee meeting. Agenda Bill number 6850, an ordinance amending development regulations in the Sea-Tac Municipal Code, Title 15, related to a 23-hour crisis relief centers. The following item was reviewed at the March 5th Administration and Finance Committee meeting. Agenda Bill number 6854, an ordinance amending the city's 2025-2026 biennial budget.
All right. Thank you very much, Christina. Do I have motion to accept the consent agenda as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. All right. So moved by Mr. Lavelle and second by both. And Mr. Pearson. Okay. All right. So, council members, would you unmute while I am actually reading the motion? A motion to accept the consent agenda as presented. For those who are in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those who are against, say nay. I will be the aye column. Thank you. I needed that aye column, actually. Okay. So the next item will be public hearing. Moratorium on change of use, establishment, or development of facilities for detention, transportation, food services for people detained by local, state, and federal law enforcement. This will be 15 minutes presentation, and I am opening the hearing exactly 7:49. And the interim city manager, Mr. Ivan Maxim, will actually lead this portion of the presentation.
Thank you, Mayor, City Council. As the Mayor noted, we are looking to hold a public hearing this evening on a moratorium that the City Council passed. There we go. I'll remind the Council of the order of events for a public hearing before the City Council. We open the public hearing as the Mayor just did. There's a brief staff presentation and opportunity for any questions from the Council. Then we would recommend that the Council take any public testimony that's signed up for this evening before closing the hearing. Purpose of the presentation this evening is really to follow up on an action the City Council took on February 10th, wherein you adopted Ordinance 26-1004, which established a moratorium on the development or creation of facilities for the detention, transportation, and food service for people detained by federal, state, or local law enforcement. In adopting that moratorium, you did set a public hearing date. That public hearing date is March 24th, which of course is this evening. This is a requirement under state law. When you adopt a moratorium, you do have to schedule a public hearing within 60 days, which is of course what we're doing this evening. I'll remind the City Council that in December of 2025, the Department of Homeland Security provided notice that a proposed detention facility was desired near Seattle and near an airport. I understood this was part of the prompting action on the part of the City Council. I will remind the City Council that in December of 2024, you adopted the City of Sea-Tac's current comprehensive plan, known as Envision Sea-Tac 2044. Which established a vision for the city of Sea-Tac as a community with a vibrant core, dense areas of residential and commercial development. We did not contemplate the creation of a detention center during that comprehensive plan preparation or review, and that was part of the basis that you cited in adopting your ordinance. The council action this evening, as you might anticipate, is of course to hold the public hearing as required by state law. You can provide direction to the city manager for any follow-on action if you would choose to do so tonight. You can also decide to provide follow-on action at a later date. I'll remind you that this moratorium is for 6 months, and we are looking at taking action potentially as we approach the end of the moratorium. No action is recommended this evening. You have reviewed this once before at your council meeting on February 10th. So I thought a brief overview of what the moratorium does would be useful just to refresh everybody's mind. The moratorium essentially is an ordinance wherein the City Council prohibits any kind of action that would establish a new detention facility for people detained by local, state, or federal law enforcement. That establishment we broadly define to capture all of the different kinds of actions an entity could take in establishing a new detention facility. That's why you see such a long list of words on the screen. It includes things like locating, operating, converting, licensing an existing facility to provide those detention services. We did not provide any exceptions in the or to the moratorium, meaning there is no allowance for a special circumstance, if you will, wherein you might authorize a detention facility. Existing detention facilities, and we do have some in the city of SeaTac, are not affected by the passage of the moratorium. This is really only focused on the creation of new facilities. The moratorium does last for 6 months from the date of adoption. At present, we are anticipating that the moratorium will lapse on August 9th of 2026. In your ordinance adopting the moratorium, you did cite several specific findings. I have not included all of those findings on the screen. They are available in the ordinance. I thought I'd just touch on a few of the most high-level items. The first, as I mentioned a moment ago, you did adopt a comprehensive plan known as Envision SeaTac 2044 in December of 2024. That comprehensive plan, again, described a variety of actions that the City Council anticipated would occur to implement your vision for the City of SeaTac. A detention facility was not contemplated as part of that vision. Urban Center along International Boulevard is envisioned to provide higher density businesses, residential districts adjacent to light rail, and is intended to accommodate a significant amount of housing and employment growth. Envision SeaTac 2044 generally directs the city to evaluate and ensure the compatibility of land uses with the goals and the visions established by our comprehensive plan. And the City of SeaTac and the City Council need additional time to study the compatibility of a potential detention facility and other land uses allowed within the City of SeaTac. That is the purpose of the moratorium. It's a temporary pause to allow us to engage in the thoughtful review of whether this land use could be compatible with other uses you envision within the city. So with that covers my brief summary of items this evening, Mayor. I would recommend that the City Council accept any public testimony that might be offered this evening, and then close the public hearing and provide any direction that you may need to provide to the city staff. If you do not provide direction this evening, we will return prior to the close of the moratorium.
Beautiful. Thank you very much, Interim City Manager. Does any council members have comments? I will start the Deputy Chairman, Mr. Rappel.
I don't have any comments on too many comments other than appreciation for going through the process and making sure that this is in alignment with Envision 2044. We put a lot of work into that. We continue, to think about the ways that different zones can be used. And we had stuff on the consent agenda today that we had to make sure was in alignment with Envision 2044. Comp plan is incredible amount of work, and I think it's right that we take this time for a moratorium to determine whether or not those kinds of facilities and the ancillary services that come with detention facilities make sense within the Envision 2044 framework. So I think this is the science behind some of the rhetoric that sometimes accompanies moratoria. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Councilman Kwan.
I don't have any question. Thanks.
Councilman Konya.
No additional questions or comments. Thank you for the comments that have already been made.
Sorry, Councilmember. Councilman Finn.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Director or Interim Deputy City Manager Maxim, for this presentation. I do support this moratorium, and I'd ask staff to continue to monitor any federal activity on this issue and report back to council before the August 9th expiration, just so we can make an informed decision on what to do next. So thank you.
Thanks. With Mayor.
Nothing more to add for me. Thank you.
Likewise. Good work. Thank you very much. All right. Okay. So, public comments. Do we have any public comments?
We do not have any.
It seems to me that we don't have any public comments. So I'm going to close this public hearing exactly 7:57. All right. Thank you very much. Another public hearing. The more the merrier. Okay. So, public hearing and action item. Franchise utility agreement with Ether Fiber to provide telecommunication service to Sea-Tac. This will be 20 minutes presentation, and Mr. City Engineer Abadol will lead it. We have two guests, it will be all yours.
Will you open the public hearing
Okay.
and give me a time, please?
Thank you very much, and that will be 7:58.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Deputy Mayor and council members. So again, my name is Florendo Cabadal, City Engineer. I'm here with members of the Easy Fiber team here in the Northwest outfit here. I'm here to present an ordinance executing a franchise agreement with Easy Fiber to deliver high-speed fiber optic network here to the city of Sea-Tac. The franchise agreement is for non-exclusive use of the city right-of-way to deploy their fiber optic network and to maintain the service as well to their customers here. This is the franchise agreement outlines the terms and the use of the right-of-way. The construction of their facilities would still be subject to the city's permitting codes, and Easy Fiber fully intends to comply with those permitting requirements. The franchise agreement itself does not employ or is not subject to a franchise fee. However, there is a fee that's been paid for by Easy Fiber to process this franchise agreement application and to process it as well. And so with that, I will ask Austin Christofferson, who's the Director of Government Affairs with Easy Fiber, to step through this presentation and introduce or to reintroduce Easy Fiber to the Sea-Tac community.
Awesome. Thank you, Mayor, Deputy Mayor, and Council for having us. My name is Austin Christofferson. I'm the Director of Government Affairs for Easy Fiber here in the Pacific Northwest. I am here today with Eddie, who will introduce himself.
Yes, Eddie Abreu. I'm the Senior Vice President and General Manager for Easy Fiber in the Pacific Northwest.
And today we are going to go through our presentation that we like to give to City just to better introduce us as well as our operations that we undertake. Awesome. So we will go over who we are, our mission, some industry reviews, our commitment to residents communication, construction communication, some of our advanced technology that we use, as well as contact information and a Q&A right after. Our mission is we continually set a new standard for fiber internet by being different for life. You'll see a lot of our offerings are rooted in our lifetime pricing promise, that the price you see is the price you pay for the duration of the service. Next slide, please. Our value prop is we provide premium customer experience without compromising our complex order processes, confusing offers, data caps, no contracts or price increases ever. We refuse to settle as the second best option. We also don't really do much other than internet. We have a very easy to recognize price tags. We build a premium carrier grade network delivering 99.99% reliability. And while others boast simplicity, we prove it in everything we do, from straightforward marketing to our lifetime promising. Our core values are integrity, compassion, and accountability, as well as collaboration. The collaboration piece is one I really like to highlight, especially when coming to City Council. We really like to work with you all, work within the community. We have a community impact team that actually has a quota about 5 to 7 events a week that they have to accomplish. So we would love to be into the communities that we serve, doing any or all events that you might have. What our customers are saying, I know typically internet providers don't usually have the best rep, especially when it comes to reviews. We are honored to have a 4.9 review on Google, and that's with over 12,000 reviews. We also received the fastest ISP from PC Mag to be the fastest internet in Texas, our home state. Our communication plan is aligned within our core values. We have a minimum of 3 construction notification letters, postcard, mail. We have door hangers placed on each door along the construction paths before and of day of. And we also have construction notification lollipops, which are little signs that are placed alongside our fiber construction. And then all of our materials contain a local phone number or email that will direct to the local construction manager if there's any escalations that occur. We like to say we'll at least have at least 6 communications with residents throughout this process. Here's a example of one of our mailers that residents have received. Once we get through the FA process, to announce that we're coming into the market, to introduce ourselves. Next slide, please. And then here's some examples of our construction notifications. We found, obviously, that folks sometimes will get a postcard, throw it in the trash. So we try and also have a construction letter that's more of a letter. So it's hopefully we get a higher opening rate and residents know we're coming in. And then again, we also send another postcard around 35 days prior to construction beginning. And then this is an example of our door hanger. As you can see, a number is provided down there that any resident can ask if they have any questions, like what are we doing, what is the right-of-way. If they have any concerns, they can flag that and we will help them. Our promise is to restore the right-of-way to the same quality we found it or better. And it also overviews how to get some help. Here's the other side for the second door hanger saying, hey, we're done. We worked on your property. Here's what to expect. If there is any issues, please reach out to the number. We'll make sure it gets to our corporate escalation team. That'll go to our operations team, through that, our construction team, to ensure that we alleviate any issues that might occur. Those are those little lollipop signs that I was mentioning that will go along the route, as well as all of our contractors have a magnet identifying them as an Easy Fiber contractor. One thing I actually just noticed that was not on this is we also have a sandwich board that goes out in front of the street with that number, with that notice that we are constructing in the area. Next slide, please. And there again is our promise. We restore any disturbed property to the original condition or better. After our construction is complete, with weather permitting, we do want to flag with the rainy days, it can complement some more of that hardscape restoration. So we typically say that'll be anywhere from 7 to 14 days. Softscape is actually usually dealt with in 48 hours. Here's our construction support process, as I mentioned. We have this number and this email if folks are more friendlier with email. Our support specialist can answer a wide array of questions, not just construction concerns, but if there was one, we will get it to the right person. We have 95% of our construction referral tickets have been dealt with within 7 days. And then, as I mentioned, very rare for an internet provider, I would say, but I know the number's over 12,000 now. We have a 4.9% star review. Again, here's the contact us thing that we'll put in the public record, as well as if there's any questions, feel free to reach out for the residents. Next slide. Here's some of our technology that we use. We use advanced GIS systems to better serve you all, especially it helps us with pinpointing where those water lines, sewer lines, storm drains. Obviously, we also comply with 811. We also have been helping with ground penetrating radar. We've been deploying in some places. That also helps provide more depth without even having to cut the asphalt. And then we also reduce service interruptions and damages. And again, our advanced GIS, this also includes any pictures that we might include. This will be given to the city so they are aware of where we inputted our lines, as well as pre-construction, post-construction, and up-to-date tracking of where we are. Here's some of the pictures that we take. These are from Texas, but they also apply to here, of what some of the things that we'll be installing outside of just the fiber wire underground. On my right-hand side, you'll see those cabinets. That is where like the servers are, and that's the main brain of the network. And then we also have our little flower pots, as we call them, that go in the ground so we can get to the wire while we need to. And then this is an example of our construction inquiries and action items. This is a screenshot of what we see when we report something. Obviously, this is in the Houston area, but we also have one very similar to Washington that Eddie here has full access to see. And as I mentioned, that community engagement piece, we have our community impact team. We like to be in the community that we serve. We're a part of chambers. We like to partner with nonprofits, small businesses, and first responders. If you all have an event that we could fit in, we would love to connect you with our team to hopefully help with that. Here's some of our leadership that will be on our project. Eddie is right there, the SVP GM, and Garner's my boss. But those are some of the folks that if you need any more in-depth questions, happy to email them along with me. And now any Q&A we might have.
Yeah, just in closing here, let me stop the screen share. As I mentioned, the terms of the franchise agreements dictate or will outline EZ's use of the right-of-way. It includes relocation of their facility should it be warranted for a city capital improvement project, obviously with appropriate notice, but looking to partner along with our other utilities in advance of our capital improvement projects to make sure that the accommodations are made and that we can minimize costs and disturbance to our community as much as possible as we come through with construction. And so that concludes our presentation. This was taken before the Transportation Public Works Committee on February 26th. With a recommendation to forward it to council meeting tonight for review and action. And so, that concludes our presentation. Happy to answer any questions the council may have.
Thank you. Councilmember Juan.
Yeah, thank you. So, as already mentioned, this franchise agreement proposal was discussed in Transportation Public Works Committee almost exactly 1 month ago. And on February 26th. couple of the questions to reiterate that the committee asked and were answered, and we learned that the Easy Fiber will work very closely with city planning to coordinate projects in order to minimize any potential impact, and is willing to come back to the committee with projects that are further designed if we would like that. So we will be constantly at the table, part of the whole process, and kept very well informed. If in case there is an outage, Easy Fiber staff will work around the clock during outages, and their office is very close to SeaTac, just a couple of miles away, I heard. They will also, as mentioned, share their ArcGIS location mapping with the city, and this was one of the important concerns that was brought up in committee, because in the past we have had utilities that the city inherited that we don't even know where they are anymore, abandoned pipes or electrical lines or whatever it is that we just are not aware of, and we will be made aware of all of the new infrastructure that is being rolled out. And we were told that there's at least one employee that lives in the city of SeaTac that works for the company, so that's even better. And they are hiring, so just wanted to mention that. And they're looking forward to being more actively involved with community events and things like that. So I would like to, I hope to see them more frequently in our community events. Overall, I'm personally glad that we're having another option for fiber optic internet. That is something that this area has been lacking for a little while until more recently, and now that we have another option, that's better for the residents of our city and our businesses. The committee recommended that this move forward to today's council meeting as an action item with the unanimous recommendation to approve this today. Thanks.
Thank you. Councilmember Konya.
I don't think I have any questions or comments at this time. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you. Councilmember Lavelle.
Yeah, I think my confidence remains, and I think our committee chair, Councilmember Kwan, brought up some really good points, and I think they were pretty convincing points for me. I was ready to support, but I think it was when Councilmember Kwan during committee said that. And for transparency, if you don't mind, tell us about Algona.
Yeah, so in Algona, we had an incident where one of our subcontractors hit an unmarked gas line. Normally, when we are before the protocol, before you start construction, following 811 dig laws, you had to call in locates to identify the utilities. The gas main was unlocated. Full accountability, right, with the subcontractor. We've already looked into it and have a full investigation to identify what that subcontractor could have done better. Potholing is amongst one of the techniques that we deploy to make sure that we do prevent any potential utility hits. And moving forward, any contractor, obviously, that doesn't perform work to our standards is removed immediately from the job. And immediately after the meeting, we were there yesterday just answering some questions from residents who, just had general questions, inquiring about construction processes. Community overall was very satisfied with all the questions as we answered them, and we're back at work today in the city of Algona.
Yeah, thank you. And it's not meant to poke holes or anything like that. I think it's important to have the detail specifically around an unmarked line. In my day job, I do a lot of management of building and development in Pioneer Square in downtown Seattle, which is this great historic neighborhood that has all sorts of unmarked things. Some may remember when Bertha was tunneling through Seattle, and there was a very small, in comparison, steel pipe that stopped a project and cost probably billions of dollars. Unmarked lines are a major issue. I think it's important to note that you took it on and worked to make the situation whole. Impacts like this will happen whenever there are unmarked lines. I do hope that you continue to be open and transparent and keep working with qualified subcontractors. And by hope, I mean we have an excellent staff. Mr. Cabral will be supporting you all to make sure that you're taking all the right steps. So this has got my support. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilmember.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Vincent.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you to the previous speaker. I, too, received some concerns from a former council member asking about Algona, so I do appreciate the transparency there. But I am also seeing a trend. I did a little research, and I see that in Des Moines, there was a similar incident where there was a neighborhood evacuation. So can the staff, Florindo, can you tell me whether these incidents were considered during the review process, and what protections do we have if we are to support this agreement?
Yes, thank you for the question, Councilmember Vincent. I think first and foremost, our staff is trained and acutely aware of the utilities within the city of SeaTac, and specifically our inspection staff, our field inspection staff, and so I think that's our first line of defense, if you will, in terms of avoiding that type of incidents. I think we're also building relations back up to the point where we are having more frequent communications with our utility providers, so that we can hopefully build those bridges to share more information regarding their utilities and locations of their utilities in conjunction with the services that 811 provides as well. And so I think that effort, coupled with our effort to remove abandoned facilities within the right-of-way to avoid future conflicts of that nature. And then also with that line of communication opening with the utilities, having them fully aware of projects coming through the city, and having them involved in the pre-construction phase to make them aware of what's happening and to bring them in and to engage them on any of their infrastructure that may be in the place of the area of work. And so our staff is fully attuned to what's going on within the city, and fully aware of potential impacts or conflicts that may happen within a particular project or work area. So,
thank you. And for Easy Fiber, can you tell me more about the city of Des Moines and this evacuation?
Same. It was a very similar situation. We are responsible to when a locate is identified 18 inches to either side of the utility. Mm-hmm. This was marked by mismarked by several feet. Not that we don't take accountability for part of that. So what we do is that we work closely, like it was said before, to partner up with that particular utility. In this case, PSC is in the majority of our build in the Puget Sound area. So looking to align closely with them and share best practices and share some of our experiences so that we can avoid potential hits in the future.
Okay. So it sounds like in this incident with Des Moines, it was just the underground utility wasn't properly located. I'm very familiar with 811 dig. I use it in my day job as well, so a little shocked to hear that. Yeah. I'd say, Mr. Mayor, just at least for me, just given the recent incidents in Algona and in Des Moines, I don't think I'd be comfortable voting yes tonight without some additional reassurances when it comes to ensuring the safety for the city of SeaTac and our residents and our infrastructure. So thank you.
We are not there yet, Council Member. So when we are voting, you will be free to do whatever you want. Okay, Deputy Mayor.
Hi, and thank you for the presentation. I had some questions and similar concerns to the previous speaker. I guess some questions that I have specific rather than going into it. I guess I'm curious, just in the sort of responses that you all provided, I'm curious about your training or like how you vet subcontractors, like what is that process? I did also, following the resident concern, looked into just recent incidents as well as utility strikes, and so I'm just curious about, how you all vet and identify subcontractors, and I'll stop there.
Yeah, so all of our general contractors and subcontractors have to be licensed in all of the cities that we operate. There's a rigorous process to make sure that they've done this type of construction build in the past, whether in the region, other parts of the state, or other parts of the country. We also make sure that they follow our safety standards. We have a rigorous onboarding process as well to vet that they have the right personnel, that everyone that they employ is properly trained to understand safety standards, craftsmanship, and making sure that we build the best possible product in a safe fashion for every community that we serve.
Thank you. I didn't know if you wanted to add something to that.
Oh, I just wanted to add to, we also have our own in-house oversight within our own inspectors in-house that also oversee the project and the crews that are doing the work within, making sure that they meet those standards that Eddie brought up, as well as hold them accountable to those.
Yeah, so we have construction managers, we have construction inspectors in each work site overseeing the crews that are performing the work.
Right. And this is a question, Florendo. So as I was looking through the contract, like it specified, city's right of way, city property. And so I'm curious, are we not going into any residential areas? Is this solely for the city's right of way? And if we are entering into neighborhoods, what is the process in terms of notifying? I saw, your pamphlets and whatnot. So notifying residents, do you have a dedicated local contact for residents during the construction? What is sort of the recourse or complaint process, damage reports? I'm curious about that. So I guess two questions. The first, are we going into residential area? And I guess I'm curious as to why the contract doesn't, in my opinion, doesn't really specify.
Right.
Like residents and homeowners and whatnot. It's more like city focused and understanding that we want to protect us as an entity, but thinking about our residents.
Yes, thank you, Deputy Mayor, for the question. The intent of the agreement is to cover the city as a whole. So it would service, and my understanding is Easy Fiber's primary business model is for residential service providing, right, for residential services. And so the terms of the agreement don't go into that level of specificity in terms of community outreach, and we rely on the provider to outline what that is. We do hold providers to a standard of that community engagement anytime that there are going in within a neighborhood or conducting business within our city, and so there is an expectation to do that. I think it's also a condition on our permits as we issue them for work within the right of way. But in terms of dictating or outlining what that approach is, we lean on our providers to provide that framework.
And to add to that, we basically have 3 business verticals: fiber to the home. That's your residential fiber service for single-family units. We also service businesses. That includes your small business community and your enterprise community. GovEd is included in that, so government and schools. And then we have MDU. That's your multi-dwelling units, your apartment buildings, condos. So those are our major verticals that we service.
And Deputy Mayor, to answer second part to that, yes, we do have, as mentioned, our local inspectors, our local construction manager who serves as a key point of contact when it comes to any of those construction concerns that are raised. Additionally, just wanted to flag too, we don't go into private property until until a resident shows that they want our service. That's when we get it. We stay strictly in the right of way until we get a sale.
Thank you. That's super helpful. And then what is your average repair time for service outages?
I'm sorry, what was the question?
What is the average repair time for service outages?
It all depends. If it's a fiber cut that affects, let's say, it depends where the cut is. We deploy our operations team to identify where that is. We identify the root cause. Normally, our teams are deployed within 30 minutes. Our offices are right here in Kent. I literally made it here in 10 minutes. And then we deploy teams to make the repair. So normally within an hour, the outage is repaired and customers restored.
Thank you. Yeah, I have a couple more questions, but I will not ask them now. I think when I'm looking at the terms of the contract, I'm specifically interested in section 9.3. I think that the language is really helpful. I think it clearly gives the city, authority to order immediate corrective action when construction creates unsafe conditions. But given, the history of the gas and water line strikes and unresolved complaints in other jurisdictions, I do feel that I have enough concerns that would, make me a no here. But I know we're not at that point. But I do think I would like to see the contract have more language around defined response times, stronger enforcement mechanisms, mandatory reporting requirements, and clearer expectations for communication and accountability before any work proceeding. That would be, again, my preference. And yeah, I wasn't in the TMPW. That's not a committee that I serve on. So wasn't able to review the contract before this last weekend. So, but those would be my suggestions to include before that. And again, I have some outstanding questions. Won't ask them here, but I don't feel comfortable supporting this at this time. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Deputy Mayor. I will support this. Good presentation. I like competition. If your service is not good, if you are not safe, people will choose. You will be fined. So I don't have any actually question about it. That it will create jobs, it will lower the cost, and it will be convenient service. So what's not to like it actually? So I will support this. I am behind almost 40 minutes. We are behind schedule 40 minutes. So Mr. Filson, do you have a question? It has to be short. We are moving to close the hearing.
Yes.
So this could be quick.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I was just looking to the clerk. Do I have the ability to make a motion before we vote on this topic?
So we need to we'll have to close the public hearing first, and then make a motion to pass it. And then if you want to, make a motion with something changed in there, you can do that as the main motion.
Okay, thank you.
All right, okay, so I will, do we have any public comments?
No, we do not.
Okay, we got one public comment which came later. Okay.
It was not processed as a public comment because it did not follow the...
Okay, good. So I will be closing this public hearing exactly 8:30.
Mr. Mayor, if I could just add one more thing,
Okay.
just real quick. There is a permitting process, so each one of Easy Fiber's work and projects will come through another round of scrutiny through our permitting process, which gives us an opportunity to dig into details and specific conditions and requirements for that type of work, depending on where it is in the city and the nature of the work. So I just wanted to table that for the council's consideration, for our community's understanding as well, that this is the framework to conduct business within the city, so it's right away, but there are specific permits for each specific project that Easy Fiber will bring forth.
All right, thank you very much for Amanda. Okay, so I will close this public comment is 8:31. Agenda bill number 6803, an ordinance granting franchise utility agreement with easy fiber for communication services. I have a motion, council members, agenda bill number 6803.
So move.
I'll second it. All right. So we have a motion made and seconded. Council, will you unmute your mic while I'm reading the agenda bill number 6803, an ordinance granting a franchise utility agreement with Easy Fiber for communication services. It will come later, so we will take yes or no, and then can amend it if that is.
No, if you want to amend it, now is the time before you actually vote on it. If
Okay.
not, we're at the point for a vote because your comments already happened during the public hearing.
Okay, so Mr. Vincent, I'll recognize you now.
Awesome. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would like to make a motion that, or maybe amend the current motion on the floor that we ask for a continuance and request that the staff evaluate Easy Fiber's safety record and provide us a full report back on that.
So are you wanting to refer this to a future meeting? Is that what you're trying to do?
Yes, a future council meeting. Yes.
Okay. A date certain?
Within the next 60 days.
Okay.
Must have to get specific.
Okay, but first he have to get second, right? Okay, so is there 1 second in Mr. Vincent's motion?
I'll second it. Why are you guys?
Okay, so the motion has second now. All right, so we will take vote for accepting the Mr. Vincent's motion. Will you state your motion, Mr. Vincent, so I can take vote?
Awesome. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My motion is that we refer this to a future council meeting within the next 60 days with the instruction to staff to evaluate Easy Fiber's safety record here in the state of Washington.
Okay, good. So for those who are in favor for that motion, continuing motion, I'll take individually. Councilmember Konya.
I'm in support of the motion.
Mr. Kwan.
I do not support the amended motion.
Mr. Lavelle.
Do not support the amended motion.
Mr. Vincent.
Yes, I support the amended motion.
Deputy Mayor.
I'll support it.
And I will not support. So it tied and it failed. That's why I love democracy. You don't always get. So we'll go back original motion, which is the council members. Will you unmute your mic while I am reading agenda bill 6803, an ordinance granting franchise utility agreement with Easy Fiber for communication service. For those who are in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those who are not in favor, say no.
Nay.
So I have one nays. Any other nays? Okay, two.
I have a question for our clerk.
No question. We have to
point of information. Am I able to abstain from voting from this, or do I have to vote yes or no?
You have to have a conflict in order to abstain.
Okay. I do not have a conflict, so I'm a no. Thank you.
Okay, so it failed again. Okay. So where do we go from the air?
Mayor, having failed motion to adopt the ordinance tonight, it sounds like it's probably appropriate that staff continue to work with our contractor and effectively do some additional outreach and return at a future meeting after some additional consideration has been given.
All right, okay. Council, the staff has actually whatever the city manager said, which means that it will go back to be. Okay, all right. The next item in the agenda will be action item, agenda bill number 6884, an ordinance amending the 2025-2026 biannual budget to include $1,225,000 in expenditure for facility construction CIP fund. 306. It will be total in 20 minutes. And Mr. Lucky you, city Interim Manager, Mr. Evan Maxim.
While he's getting loaded up, I almost want to invite you to stand up and do head, shoulders, knees, and toes or something to stretch. Oh, with how long it's been while he's getting set up, I almost want to invite you to stand up and do some stretching exercises. It's a long night, sorry.
Clint makes a tough act to follow at this point. I'm sorry, I'm just giggling. It must be the time of evening. Good evening, Mayor, City Council. We are presenting to you this evening on a proposed budget amendment request related to your Civic Campus project. This budget amendment does include a little bit of a look ahead, so it's also an informational briefing and then provides some context about the proposed budget amendment for action this evening. So we are joined this evening by two of our JLL representatives, Ms. Brenda Baxter, Ms. Krista Shirley. Of course, immediately to my left is Mr. Clint Wilkinson, the Special Capital Projects Manager. As you may know, City Council, we're in the process of handing the project over to Clint. That's why you have two of us here in front of you this evening, one a little bit funnier than the other. You know, this project, of course, is related to our Civic Campus. We are starting to rebrand the name of the Civic Campus in our community engagement, referring to this as our International Village. I'll remind the City Council, you have established a vision for this International Village. Really, the bold text, I think, captures it quite well. It's a place where the community would come together. It's meant to reflect SeaTac's unique identity. This is a space really that we're trying to create that's an asset for our community. It's a multi-generational space that we think will really highlight our community and create a great feeling for our city moving forward. The purpose of the presentation tonight is really to continue to move us forward in making that vision become a reality. So we are asking the City Council this evening to consider an amendment to your 2025-2026 biennial budget. That amendment amount would reflect an expenditure of $1.225 million in 2026, anticipating that a little bit of that funding may move into 2027 as a carryover. It does not represent the larger budget amendment that we anticipate will be coming as part of your biennial budget review for the 2027-2028 budget amendment budget review that we expect this summer and into the fall. I will note that this item was referred by the A&F committee at a previous meeting, and I apologize, I did not include a slide to that effect. The A&F committee has recommended that this item move to City Council for review. They did not recommend approval on the consent agenda. I believe there were some questions by the A&F committee related to how we'd accounted for some of the budget expenditures authorized to date. The committee members received an email from me after the A&F committee meeting, which had a breakdown of our budget expenditures to date. I've also included that same memo and breakdown material in your packet for this evening. So if there are any questions, we're happy to address that breakdown. That's not really the focus of the presentation this evening, so if I may, I'll suggest we can explore that at the end of the presentation tonight. And with that, I will turn it over to Brenda to present on our project.
Thanks, Evan. All right, so we've been showing this pre-development overview diagram throughout multiple council meetings to date. In the green box, that pre-development phase box there, as we've discussed, we finalized the site purchase. The city had a big milestone in December to procure South 200th. We also had a resolution on the delivery method for the City Hall phase of the project. I believe that was in November. Currently, we are in the master planning and financial strategy phase of the project. There's also community engagement ongoing. Anticipated council action in this pre-development phase is a conceptual master plan and a strategy on executing that master plan, as well as the City Hall early design and construction budget and contracting phase, which we are entering at this time. With these approvals in Workstream 1 and 2, moves us into a really big milestone this year is the City Hall design phase itself. Again, this is the GCCM team and design teams that we will plan to bring on board this year. That will move us into the conceptual design and land use phase for the City Hall component. We're calling that phase 1 of the overall development. So overall preliminary schedule. Before we look ahead, just looking back at 2025, when we were at council for the 2025 biennium budget amendment, I was asked in the ANF meeting, there was an amendment approved at that time that included the JLL fees for this entire year. So we are covered for 2026. That number is not an ask in this current number today. That also included some fees for our master planning design consultant and some procurement strategy consulting, which is planning to be expended midway through this year, those two consultants. So moving into this current 2026 budget amendment request, this really will get us through 2026, as Evan mentioned, and if any of those funds are unused, it'll move forward to the next year. And then in the kind of blue box there, you see phase 4. This is really the big move that we are going into for 2027 that will come back on the biennium 2027 ask. All right, so the ask today, this budget request really focuses on 2 major work streams that are happening in parallel right now. The work stream number 1 is the City Hall project progression, as mentioned, that design phase. And work stream number 2, which is the overall site master plan, which we're considering the pre-development. So that top box, that $300,000 there, continues the team here to advance and refine the overall site master plan through different uses and alternatives. We're currently in that iterative process right now, and we'll continue to forward that through this year. We'll produce site plans, massing views, and supporting the preparation to really kick off the design phase in 2027. The staff and consultant will continue to evaluate and assess potential development partners and strategies for those additional uses on the site. And we are also now including the bullpen in the overall site master plan strategy. The $450,000 you see there for the City Hall early design work, again, sets the stage for us to kick off the City Hall parking plaza and the community services associated with that northern third of the site. And this is really vital funding to make sure we stay on track on that schedule I showed on the previous slide. So I'll pass it to Clem now.
Thank you. As we move into this design phase, it's critical for us and for all of you, of course, to protect the public funds that are going to be expended on this project. And so to control those costs, one of the things that we need to ensure that we can, in controlling those costs, is we need to get the scope and the schedule under control. One of the things that will help us control the costs is getting some of these specialty consultants on board. For example, we need to understand what's below that asphalt, and that's where a geotechnical engineer comes on board. We need to understand the infrastructure. You were talking about the pipe that was buried for Big Bertha, and that's where a civil engineer and the surveying team comes on board. Then, of course, we have traffic concerns around the site that are currently existing, and of course, when we build what we build, that'll change that traffic dynamic, and the traffic consultant will be important, a part of that puzzle to help us kind of understand and plan accordingly as we move forward. The structural engineer will, of course, help us design something that's efficient for what we want to build and moving forward. The legal team that we're bringing on board will help us get these teams on board and under contract, and also to perhaps change the scope of team members that we already have on board. That is the good news, is we have some of our team members already on board, but we'll need to increase their scope because their scope doesn't include what we're planning for moving forward. The community outreach is ongoing. We have an amazing team, from my perspective, with our community outreach team. Currently, just to kind of give you an idea what Angel and Krista have done, they started on March 11th, and they already have 307 respondents, and in-person and virtual respondents to what we're planning on doing, and conceptually where we want to put the city hall and the ideas and all that sort of stuff. And that'll continue. That effort will continue for some time up through the end of the year. Then, of course, hiring a general contractor and construction manager, they will be a key component who will bring on towards the end of this year, the end of third quarter or the beginning of the fourth quarter of this year, to help us get our costs under control and understand the most effective ways to build this project that's being planned. Brenda?
All right, and to wrap up the budget amendment request here, we've talked about project contingency in the ANF meeting. Ultimately, this is a bucket of money that's a resource for us to cover any unforeseen scope that might come up during this process as we are working through this early pre-development and pre-design phase to keep the project on schedule. And as mentioned, any unused budget or contingency that's asked here and not used in 2026 will be transitioned into 2027.
Hitting the wrong button, sorry. This is a summary of the expenditures that we plan on using the $1.225 million towards. I want to point out that this will represent probably about 10%, or maybe a little less, depending on what the scope of the project is what the total fees will be on the project overall. But this is the beginning.
All right. So the other part of this is to look ahead at what's to come. And just to kind of take a step back a little bit before looking ahead, we have this all coming together in one coordinated real estate development plan. As Brenda talked about, that's really composed of these two parallel work streams, 1 and 2, but the foundation of those are the 6 building blocks on the left side of your screen. Those include things like continuing to engage the community, doing all of the physical site due diligence that Clint talked about. I won't go through and read the rest of them, but those are really the key to advancing both of these work streams in parallel and in a coordinated way so that there's really a cohesive vision for the site when it's done. So the ask today had a bit of work stream 1 and work stream 2. I want to talk on the next slide specifically about the next step of work stream 1 for financing. On the next slide, as Brenda mentioned, we'll come back later this year for a biennium budget update. And while the design phase is beginning this year with the early design bucket that was listed, the design will progress and complete. The bulk of that will be occurring in 2027, along with permitting and early bid packages. With that ramp up, we're looking at a range of about $10.5 to $13.5 million. And over the next few months, the work that we'll be doing, as well as some of the work that will be approved if you approve this budget amendment, will help us narrow that range to be able to come back with a more solid number for that budget request. We have been working with Gwen Pilo and the finance team and anticipate that, similar to the current budget request, that one can be funded with existing city reserves and projected funds. And so then looking one more step ahead, early in 2028, we're anticipating that as long as we keep this schedule, we'll be able to issue a construction bond and begin construction. We've been mentioning the range of about $85 to $119 million over the last almost a year since we've been talking about this. And this work in 2026 and 2027 will really narrow down what is the design that's going to happen on that site and what will that cost. And so we'll come back to you over the next year and a half or so that budget will represent
with periodic updates, with check-ins to make sure that the design and the funding are progressing together and pulling together the financing strategy for that. Two really quick notes that we'll continue to reiterate when we do this look ahead is that the funds expended from city funds, both for today's request and the look ahead biennium request, can be reimbursed through the construction bond issuance back into those city funds. And that does offer an opportunity to refinance the existing debt on the land acquisition, and that will be part of the financing strategy that the city will look at for the project.
The contracts that we'll be using will be based on AIA. That's the American Institute of Architects, if you don't know. The AIA has existed for about 170 years. They've been producing contracts that have been the model contracts that have been used both between the owners and the architects and design consultants, and also between the owners and the contractors for about 140 years. And so we've been working with Cindy and in crafting a modified AIA contract that'll meet our needs. That contract is being worked on, and once it's figured out, we'll present it to the council.
Maybe just to complete out a portion of that thought, we currently anticipate returning to the City Council on April 14th and possibly on April 28th to present the actual AIA contract with our architect and our GCCM for council review and approval prior to signing any contract of that sort. And recall, this is part of your standard process. Looking back to the item for you this evening, we are looking for a budget amendment for an expenditure in the amount of $1.225 million from our Facility Construction CIP Fund, which is Fund 306. I noted at the start, this is an item that we took to the A&F committee and engaged in their review on March 5th. There were some follow-up questions. I have sent a response to the council members at that time. I don't know if there are any remaining questions. I will note that I think I'm meeting with a few of the council members next week, and we're happy to explore really our past budget expenditures and answer any questions that the council may have. Haven't gone into that this evening. It's already kind of late, and to do so would have added a significant amount of time to this presentation. That said, we do have the materials that we included in the packet if you have questions this evening. And with that, Mayor, I'll turn it back over to you and the council.
Thank you very much, Interim City Manager. Okay, do I have a motion to accept bill number 6888?
So moved.
Second.
All right, Vincent did it and Lavelle seconded.
And
Okay.
I apologize. I just want to be clear. I believe that is Agenda Bill 6884.
That's what I said.
Oh, I heard 6888, so I apologize.
Thank you very much. Stand to be corrected. Do I have motion to accept it? Agenda Bill number 6884?
Yes.
Second.
So moved.
All right. Okay, Vincent okay, and Lavelle. All right, council members, do you have any questions or comments? I will start with Deputy Mayor as soon as because she chaired the IANF.
Yeah, thank you so much for the presentation. I don't think I have anything to add as interim deputy director Maxim just shared, or deputy city manager, excuse me, shared. We do have a meeting on Monday. I believe myself and Councilmember Konya will be meeting with the team to get a better understanding of just what's been spent to date and just have a better understanding of the budget landscape, past, present, current, future. I think for me, I'm having a really difficult time with all, like, tracking all of the budget amendments and really understanding budget and actual, like, clear outcomes. Like, obviously we're progressing, and this is necessary. Totally understand that. And I'm just trying to really, I guess what I'm trying to say is I don't feel comfortable supporting something that I don't fully understand. I understand that this is not my full scope of work, right? Like this is not my area of expertise, which is why I was hoping this was going to come later, so that we could have had our meeting, but, time. And so, I understand that this is necessary. And for myself, I believe that I need to do more due diligence and understand all of the different amendments and how they relate to this, understand the various consultants. I just really need to, that's what it comes down to. Yes.
Mayor, may I briefly, so Deputy Mayor, I do recall at the ANF committee meeting, you provided guidance to staff that we need to brief the ANF committee more frequently moving forward.
Yes.
That is our intent.
Yes.
And we're happy to provide that kind of transparency into contracting and how we've spent the city's funds to date and at what we anticipate moving forward. Really this last, really from site acquisition until now, we've been doing our best to get our ducks in a row around some of the financial modeling and strategy. You'll start to hear that as a full council on April 14th, and then we will be, our commitment is to continue to come to the ANF committee on a regular basis through the rest of this year and moving forward. So I hope that begins to address the questions you have, Deputy Mayor.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And I believe that it will. Like I said, I understand that this is necessary. I understand that this is all part of the process, and this is very common for this type of project, the need for budget amendments. I'm just thinking about the initial proposals that we received around the project and how they were presented in different phases, and just trying to understand phases, what phase we're at, in terms of, what we've already allocated and spent money on. And so that's where I'm at personally, but definitely support my colleagues in whatever direction they want to head. Obviously, moving forward, we've committed to this project, but I'm sure I will support it after our conversation on Monday. Thank you.
Councilman Friesen.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And Evan, thank you for addressing the ANF committee's concerns. I have no additional questions. Thank you.
Thanks, Councilmember Konya.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you all again for just continuously bringing this back. Similarly, I look forward to our conversation on Monday, especially as someone who's jumping in the middle of this. I definitely want to make sure I understand moving forward what has been spent. When I haven't been up on the dais to hear these presentations. So I also echo that I understand that this is a committed project and there are timelines, and I want to make sure that I am fully understanding when we're amending budgets to have the implications of our taxpayer dollars in what feels like very high amounts. So again, I appreciate the presentation and I look forward to Monday.
Councilmember Kwan.
Thank you. So I do support this. I have a comment and a concern that I will bring up. And this is not just for this specific project. It's just in general because I've been here a while and I've seen it happen a few times, and I'd like to try to avoid this situation. So the situation is we got our budget, and then some unforeseen circumstance or whatever the case might be, the council will then have to amend the budget. And I understand that things happen, okay? What I would like to avoid is having to amend this again. So the reason for that is when we have large projects, especially in public works and other departments, parks and recreation and whatnot, we typically try to put in some kind of a buffer for potential overhead. And we also try to get our requirements specific so that we don't experience scope creep or something like that that will, unforeseen things that will just like constantly keep adding to the price at the end of the day. And so we have been very careful, I think, so far approaching this in a sort of with accountability and good planning and all of that stuff. And I understand things happen, but so that's my only concern here. I'm happy to support this. I'm hoping that at the end of the day this would be enough, but hopefully we can get through this for the remainder of 2026 and move this project forward.
Mayor, may I?
Please.
Thank you. Councilmember Kwan, just in the interest of ensuring there's absolute clarity, the budget amendment in front of you tonight does not represent a coverage of any cost overrun or unexpected expenditure. And it is intended to carry us through the end of 2026 while keeping us on the timeline. There will be a budget amendment as part of, a budget ask as part of your 2027-2028 biennial budget review that you'll receive sometime between June and September of this year. And that really would complete the design of the City Hall, the Civic Plaza, and the parking that we are starting with this funding in 2026. At present, so this funding does include $180,000 of contingency fund, which gets to your point on any unforeseen expenditure. To date, to my knowledge, we have not had any unseen expenditures arise. We've actually generally managed to keep at or below, we have entirely kept at or below the budget funding that the City Council has provided. And perhaps to just address very briefly the Deputy Mayor and Councilmember Kanya's comments about timing of this particular request. We are doing our best to maintain the project timeline overall, and really that requires release of the request for qualifications for an architect and a contractor by the end of March. So had we waited till the April 14th City Council meeting, the overall project would have slid back on our timeline, and we have understood that the timeline established by the council was a priority as well, which is why we ended up here tonight without having had that meeting next Monday. So I hope that addresses your comment and your concern, Councilmember Kwan, and I'll turn it back over to the mayor.
So thank you for that. What I would like to see moving forward, and I ask this for every type of project, is I know that this funding is coming out of the Facilities Construction CIP fund. Okay, what I would like to see moving forward is the historical cost moving forward, so that we can keep a tally. Because I know that the general public regularly asks me, what is the total? I'm like, I don't know at this point, right? But it would be nice to have that moving forward, just so that we all know where we are with that fund. Thanks.
Councilor Lopez.
Yeah, I'll try to be brief. My experience with budget amendments on things like this is that one of a few things is happening. One is a project is moving slower than expected, and costs are rising. One is that a project is moving faster than expected, and we've started a phase ahead of when we thought we would be doing that phase. One is you found something you didn't expect. You dig in a hole and you find out there's someone else owns something under there, or there's something you didn't expect. And then one is that people mistake the S in SeaTac for a dollar sign, and they're bilking the public out of some money because they think, oh, the public's got a bunch of money, right? So I don't think the fourth one is happening. I also don't think the first one, the slower than expected, is happening. I'm trying to figure out here, is this more, we're moving a little faster than we expected, and maybe that's why we're ahead on schedule, which means we have to add more money to make sure we keep up? Or did we find some things we didn't expect? We found out we're going to take some more. We knew there'd be some special consultants. It's going to take more of them. We knew, is there any of those four that make sense? And don't choose the fourth one.
Good question and good categories. So I meant to mention during the presentation, so this ask that is occurring right now, the reasoning for this is sort of like in Q1, Q2 of this year, is we wanted to make sure we got through the land acquisition last year. So that was one of the gateways to making sure we got through that. And then we would proceed forward with our preferred master plan for the site, lock in the City Hall location, and then be able to kick off design this year. So the reasoning we didn't come to you last year with the 1.2 ask is we hadn't closed on the property quite yet. And that was one of the gateways to make sure we hit a big milestone on the project to then be able to spend these funds this year in a manner that meets the schedule. So we're on schedule pretty much. And I think The ask today was always planned in conversation near the end of last year.
Anything you'd like to add, Interim Deputy City Manager Maxim, IDCM?
Yeah, longest title ever. I think it's just a restatement of what I heard Ms. Baxter say, which is we are doing our best to only ask for funding when it's appropriate to ask for it. So we are on schedule. We are still tracking for, presuming we move forward with the full project, City Hall opening, Civic Plaza opening. I'm going to say the wrong date now that I've queued it up. It's in the slide. I'm sorry, I have to go back to the date. That's embarrassing. In late Q4 of 2029, early 2030, Q1 of 2030. So we've tried very hard to adhere to that schedule, council member level, and that has meant that we're trying not to ask for funding until we're at that appropriate place.
Okay, I think that's a new category I'll add to my little list of things, is that we're not asking for it until we need it, and therefore instead of projecting it out, asking us for a much larger number earlier. I think you also heard some cautionary advice from Councilmember Kwan that I agree with, is if you keep coming back, it's going to be hard for us to track, and it's going to sound a lot like someone sees a dollar sign and just keeps coming back for more and more and more. So we were always going to spend this money once we made it through that gateway. We didn't want to put the money there until we knew we could spend it in that year or in that period. If for example, we had not closed on that land, there's no reason for you all to have this much money sitting around allocated, and now we've got a budget that's a little bit bloated for money that's not going to be spent until a couple of years down the road, maybe if it takes us a while to find another site. How fair is just thumbs up or thumbs down on fair characterization? Thumbs up. All right. Okay, that's all I have. I'm going to support this. Thank you.
Mayor, I just want to, I get this, this is a big project for the city. Total all in, $100 and something million to build. That's a prodigious amount of money. And so I understand, Councilman Kwan, your concern that, now we got to come back with more money, and it seems like a never-ending pit. Part of what we're doing today is, as we get the architect on board, is they'll help us refine the scope. So we'll begin to refine what the budget will be of what we're going to build. Then as we onboard the GCCM, and eventually when we go through the whole design process, part of that process, I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself, is we'll have a really hard price when it's all said and done, before shovels hit the ground, what this thing is going to cost. And so there won't be like, hey, sorry guys, we found, and now we need a whole bunch more money. That's the beauty of the GCCM process, and actually the way this process has been laid out by Evan and the JLL partners, by getting us partway through design, so we can now refine the scope and the budget. So then as we're moving forward, there's confidence on your part and on our part that we're not going off into fairyland.
Right. Okay. You're done, Mr. Levert? Okay, good. I will support this. We're committed to building a new city hall. That is what it takes. So I will support it. All right. So, council members, would you unmute your mic while I'm reading this agenda bill number 6884, an ordinance amending the 2025-2026 biannual budget to include $1,225,000 in expenditure from facility construction CIB Fund 306. For those who are in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And I will say aye. And those who are against, say nay.
Nay. Nay.
All right. So, Mr. Vincent, Mr. Igal, Mr. Kwan, Mr. Olafel say aye. I'm still alert, right? Yeah. And Ms. Konya and Ms. Nguzi say nay. Thank you very much. Thank you. Excellent presentation. The following item will be referred to April 14, 2026 regular council meeting for action item. Agenda Bill 6891, a resolution creating ad hoc city council subcommittee and authorizing the city manager to initiate negotiation with the Board of Seattle on a new interlocal agreement. This will be 15 minutes presentation, and it will be Mr. Maxim, interim city deputy manager. Like you, again.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, City Council. I will attempt to move a little bit more quickly through this presentation. So this evening we are looking for the City Council to really hear a presentation and refer an item for action at your April 14th City Council meeting. This is related to the Port of Seattle and the city's intent to enter into negotiations with the port. And there we go. So the purpose of the presentation tonight is really to set the stage for the city of SeaTac and the city of, the Port of Seattle, to enter into negotiations related to a variety of different items, including the 2018 interlocal agreement. And I'll remind the City Council that this interlocal agreement, of course, expires in February of 2028. Today, we're really just looking to introduce the subject, provide a brief overview of the resolution, and that resolution would essentially do two things. The first would be to establish an ad hoc committee an ad hoc council committee to provide oversight and guidance to your city staff as we enter into these negotiations. The other would be to provide direction to the city manager to take all necessary actions to initiate negotiation with the Port of Seattle. Of course, the Port of Seattle operates SEA Airport or SeaTac International Airport, which is located entirely within the city limits of the city of SeaTac. The current 2018 interlocal agreement, as I noted a moment ago, establishes agreements between the city and the port around various sorts of authorities, their direct spheres of influence and control, and it provides a framework for collaboration between the two organizations and also a framework for resolving any disagreement we might have. The city and the port really need to start negotiation on the new interlocal agreement, presuming we want a new interlocal agreement in February of 2028. We need to start that negotiation now. And again, we are asking the City Council to consider forming an ad hoc committee. So the action this evening is really just to hear the presentation and refer this item to April 14th for adoption of the proposed resolution. Some background on the 2018 interlocal agreement, and this is not meant to be an exhaustive background for those of you who might have been in the room. I'm really trying to capture the highlights of the interlocal agreement. It is quite a lengthy document, and this is part of the reason we're asking for the formation of the ad hoc committee. In February of 2018, the Port of Seattle and SeaTac entered into the agreement. This replaced all previous versions of the interlocal agreements between the city and the Port of Seattle, which included several amendments over many, many years, in fact, decades. The current interlocal agreement includes 7 chapters. I've summarized those 7 chapters on the screen this evening. The first, the preamble and the general chapter, these are chapters 1 and 2. Provide a summary of all the relevant statutes governing both the Port of Seattle's authority and responsibilities and the City of SeaTac's authority and responsibilities. It also provides context for the interlocal agreement between the two agencies. That general chapter really sets the framework that I mentioned a moment ago for collaboration and conflict resolution. Includes the framework for the letters of agreement, the joint advisory committee, which I'll remind the council includes 3 of the council members and 2 of the port commissioners, and other types of operational agreements, notably coordination around a variety of different issues and a no surprises clause between the two agencies. And last, it really does establish clear boundaries around both agencies' areas of direct authority and direct oversight, and where we are seeking collaboration and have individual responsibilities. The land use and development standards, this chapter really establishes both the comprehensive plan designation. You'll recall in Vision Sea-Tac 2044, I've alluded to a few times this evening. This agreement establishes what we say in Envision Sea-Tac 2044 related to your comprehensive plan designation for the airport. And this chapter also establishes the zoning standards. So we do not rely on our Sea-Tac municipal code directly in regulating development within the airport AAA boundary, the airport activity area. We rely on the interlocal agreement. And those zoning standards are administered by the Port of Seattle within the AAA area and not by the City of SeaTac. The transportation chapter really focuses on the applicability of transportation impact fees and how we would address transportation mitigation over time. It also establishes a framework for allowing the collection of impact fees and or the evaluation of transportation concurrency through a SEPA review. SEPA, I'll remind the City Council, is the State Environmental Policy Act. A SEPA review used for transportation is a little bit of an unusual approach, and it's a function of the nature of the Port of Seattle and what they may use their funding for and how the city then tries to navigate that distinction. And then, of course, we do engage in shared transportation modeling between the City of SeaTac and the Port. Permitting inspections is a separate chapter as well. This really governs all construction on the Port property within that AAA zone. The Port, as an agent of the city, administers and enforces all of the permitting requirements within your adopted building codes, and they engage in all of the inspection activities on the part of the city. There is a pre-application process. We have regular consultations with the Port of Seattle, and periodically we do engage in both a quality assurance plan review, so this is a focus on the permit documents, and a quality assurance inspection review, which is really on-the-ground inspection work. And the focus there is really to ensure that there's general compliance with building codes and focus on truly substantive concerns that the city may have related to things like life safety, health safety, and fire safety within the buildings. For the next chapter, we do establish essentially how the environmental review for development on the Port property will occur. The Port takes the SEPA lead agency for all development within that AAA zone, or AAA area, I should refer. And then the city, of course, conducts that environmental review for any areas outside of the AAA. The Port administers our critical areas code on the city's behalf within the AAA, and we, of course, administer it outside of the AAA. The stormwater utility, so this is all of the regulations related to compliance with our MPDS Phase 1 permit from Department of Ecology, and all of the stormwater utility design work is administered by the Port within the AAA. And the Port also does pay us a stormwater utility fee for the airport property. For things related to noise impacts, we rely primarily on compliance with the Part 150 requirements that the Port has voluntarily entered into. And the Port has an aspirational goal within the interlocal agreement to advance air quality initiatives that meet the Port's goals. For public safety and general services, this is the last chapter within the interlocal agreement. This really establishes a collaborative approach between the City of SeaTac and our our City of SeaTac Police Department and our Puget Sound Regional Fire Association around a collective approach to public safety, police calls for service. I mentioned the Puget Sound Regional Fire Association a moment ago. I apologize, that was a mistake on my part. The Port of Seattle has its own fire agency. There is a $1.4 million general fund contribution that the Port provides to the City of SeaTac supporting our public safety work. And this is the area where our economic opportunity and workforce development collaboration lives within the interlocal agreement. That's the current interlocal agreement. Looking at essentially the bare bones of the beginning process, and I'll acknowledge City Council, I have not had a chance to brief the ad hoc committee or the council on this process, So this is simply your staff proposal on how we start. It's not meant to be the full permanent process moving forward. What we are anticipating at the moment is that the staff will focus primarily on a review of the existing interlocal agreement and all other port-city interactions, and identify areas where we could look for improvement in our current interlocal agreement or other interactions. From there, we would work with the ad hoc committee to identify the desired policy outcomes that the City Council would like to see in our ongoing relationship with the Port of Seattle. And from there, begin to put together a new draft interlocal agreement for full City Council review moving forward. The Council Ad Hoc Committee, as we're currently envisioning it, or your staff is currently envisioning it, is one where the staff would be bringing contextual information around specific terms in the interlocal agreement and other port or city interactions for the Ad Hoc Committee's review. Because of that, some of these committee meetings may be essentially engaged in a sub-quorum manner. So I'll remind the City Council, your committee meetings are 3 council members. So we may use our flexibility under the Open Public Meetings Act to provide some private information for council review in advance of negotiation. There would also be public meetings where the ad hoc committee would be providing recommendations to the full council or providing direction to the city staff in a formal way. And of course, we are anticipating that there would be public comment and community engagement throughout this process, and so the ad hoc committee having public meetings to solicit public feedback would be part of what we're anticipating moving forward. We are anticipating that we will be identifying amendments to specific terms and those desired outcomes in advance of actually engaging in negotiation with Port of Seattle staff and then, of course, the port commissioners over time. So, subcommittee, again, the resolution that's in the packet this evening in a draft form, and we are anticipating bringing this to the April 14th meeting, essentially does 2 things. The first would be to establish the ad hoc port negotiation committee, or the PNC committee is the name we've come up with to date. We are anticipating that the committee members would be the council members who are currently on the joint advisory committee itself. So I believe that's Deputy Mayor Neguse, Councilmember Vinson, and Councilmember Kwan. We would have meetings that were not open for the public when we were discussing items that were related to negotiation. Again, this is consistent with OPMA in that we are providing information to a sub-quorum of the council. Any action by the council has to be taken in a public meeting, consistent with OPMA. We would have public meetings or meetings that were open to the public for public comment and recommendations to the City Council. And we anticipate at present the ad hoc committee would end at the end of the anticipated negotiation around the interlocal agreement, which would be in February of 2028. The other item contained within that resolution would be authorization for the city manager to take any action or to take actions necessary to initiate negotiation with the Port of Seattle. We have not formally initiated any negotiation with the Port of Seattle, though we have shared with them, consistent with our no surprises agreement, that we're having this conversation this evening. With that, Mayor, City Council, I'm open to any questions or clarifications that you're interested in this evening. Otherwise, I would ask you to support moving this item to April 14th.
Thank you, Deputy Interim and Deputy City Manager Evan. Do I have a motion to pass this agenda bill number 6891?
So moved.
Second.
All right. Okay, we have a motion. And does anyone have any comments? Or Mr. Kwan, do you have comments?
Yeah, I know we're running out of time, but I do have a.
I have plenty of time tonight. I have 2 cups of coffee already. Do it, yeah.
So I have a concern. I mean, I support this 100%. We need this committee, but I have just a procedural concern here. I do understand that we have to adopt a formal resolution to create this committee. I understand that. With the existing standing committees, when there is a challenge, when one or more of the committee members might be sick or unavailable or whatever, they can easily ask another council member to sit in for them and substitute for them so that the committee meeting can proceed and, business can be conducted, nothing is delayed. This is going to be a critical committee, so I'm concerned that if there is maybe one or two council members that are out of commission or unavailable, a sub won't be available unless there is another resolution adopted, because this resolution specifically mentions 3 council members. So that's my concern here. I just want to make it easy for us to move forward quickly after this committee has been created. So what I was thinking was I would just add, members may be rotated as needed by a majority of the council after the resolution is adopted, so that we have the freedom to be able to the flexibility to do that. But I mean, I'm open to suggestions. That's just my concern. I don't want this to be delayed in any way as a result of potentially 1 or 2 council members on the committee not being available.
Please.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Councilmember Kwan. I appreciate the thought. I believe we can adjust the resolution between now and April 14th, so that in the case where a committee member needs to step away, the mayor would appoint a new committee member to take that person's place.
Okay. That sounds good. Thanks.
Okay, so that's another procedural, actually. So this resolution, actually the 3 council members who are in that, SeaTac, right? JAC. Actually, those are the most knowledgeable on this. So, and I agree with what Mr. Kwan said that. But what about when we are amending on the 14th, what we would see if we say that these 2 council members are designee, or alternative, or if we say that instead of mayor appointed, that will take another process, which means that the mayor cannot appoint someone. He has to bring in the council, and council have to approve all of those things. So let's actually do the 3 council members plus rab or designee, in case one of them are missing, that kind of stuff. If we do that, how's that?
I think I hear the sentiment, and we can certainly work to massage appropriate language to bring back to you.
Good. Thank you very much. All right. So,
Mayor, just understanding that probably the goal we're driving at with this language is flexibility, making sure that we're nimble and able to appoint people quickly if there's a period of unavailability of one of the sitting members.
Beautiful. Okay. Any question, Councilman Kwan? Mr. Kwan?
Thank you.
Mr. Lapel? Mr. Vincent?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I look forward to serving on this negotiating team, representing the interests of the great city of SeaTac. Thank you.
Give it to Mayor.
Echo those sentiments of the previous speaker.
I asked my question. All right. Okay. So, council members, do I have? Would you unmute your mic while I'm reading?
Actually, at this point, I believe we need a motion to refer it.
Okay, good. So do I have?
I move that we refer it to the April 14th regular council meeting.
Second.
As an action item, please.
As an action item. I make a motion that we refer this to the April 14th regular council meeting as an action item.
Second. Okay, so we have the motion and the second. All right, so council members, unmute your mic while I'm reading a motion to refer agenda bill number 6891 to April 14, 2026 regular council meeting for action item. Those who are in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those who are against say nay. All right. Okay. So you have your instruction, council members. Any comments before we close the shop, the city, the council meeting? All right. Any comments? It seems to me that we have. Okay. I don't have any public comments. Good work. And I will be adjourning this meeting 9:30 p.m. here in Western Washington. Good night.
Jonathan. Will you just look at that? I want to make sure I have it right.
Are we talking to the subquorum already today?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So, with the current committee, the standing committees, if any of the council members that are a committee member is not available, we typically just call one random other
Like we
council
do
member,
with other committees.
can you sit in? And they will. Okay, if they can't, then we call another one, say, can you sit in? Blah blah blah. Also, if it rarely happens, but if a council member would prefer to be on a different committee, and they will approach one of the other council members on the other committee and say, hey, you want to